Hey y'all, it's me again, Joey.
Well, ready to let them loose?
Yep, that's it. Let's see if they make us run.
Oh,
Probably so.
yeah, that one tried to get after him, but other than that, what can you expect? I mean, can you blame them? Oh yeah, they're getting after us now. Go, Joey, go!
Hey man!
Hey, man, buddy. I'm gonna get in the truck. You gotta go back and get your camera.
But also, just get as many as you can off the one next to it. Out.
You gotta move away.
Do that side again. Y'all ready? Let's get started. Well, hello everybody. I was trying to keep up with everybody saying hey in the chats, and I finally got behind. I guess I say that every time we come on. Hope everybody's doing good. And I'm trying to stay cool. I'm keeping my picture right here for a little while, try to stay cool. How you, Miss JW?
Doing my thing, having more fun than I've ever had.
Yeah. Hey, I like that sign you got back there.
That's one of my granddaughters had that the shop class. She got me that one year for Christmas here off. She's 27 now, so it's been around a day or two. That's some kind of a printed out deal, and it cuts out the metal. That's 1/4 inch.
Yeah.
White steel is what that is, and then they black powder coated it. Been around a day or two, still holding good. Not peeling or anything, or hadn't yet. It's out in the weather all the time.
All right. I think I got the message pinned. Anybody want to come in with us? Welcome to come on in. You've been doing anything in the bee yard lately, or just like me, just kind of walk through it and go back to the house?
Well, I went through mine.
Oh, did you?
I checked every hide. I've got candy boards, that I make up, Joy. Insulated candy boards.
Yeah.
You've heard me talk about it, I think. And I raised every one of them today to see how much I had. Some of them was practically gone, and I'm going to have to put on new ones here the first of the week. Maybe probably be Monday. It looks like my warm day is supposed to be Tuesday, I think, up here. And I went through 34 hives, and they're all alive. Some of them, I had a couple of them felt a little light on feed. I don't know. They may not be. They may, but they fit. I had 2 out of 34 that felt a little light, but there's bees in all 34 of them, which I'm very pleased about.
Well, that's good.
So, but I was in all 34 of them. I had the lids off of them today. I didn't go down into them, of course, but I just want to make sure they all had bees. And
Yeah.
actually, I don't know that it has anything to do with it, but my 2 lighter hives seem to be those FMA hives. I don't know. There's no reason for, and what I've got in those FMAs, Joy, is pretty much Caucasian influenced. And this is only the second year I've messed with them, and they brood down real small clusters. So that may be part of it. That may be just because they may have real small clusters in there. They may really blow up here when weather turns. We'll see what happens.
Yep. Jeremy, it's 46 degrees here right now, and it's been nice. I never checked it today, but it's probably been close to 70 degrees all day. Pretty sunshine. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Mr. JW. I just answered.
No, you didn't interrupt me any. I've got 35 degrees here right now, and it got up to, no, I'm going to say 46, 47 here today. We still have, where that's been run over and packed, we still got some, snow left. Most of it's unless it's in the open areas where if it's shaded, I've still got a little snow from that 10 inches we had there a week or two before y'all had that, before I came down to your place. So,
Yeah.
but it's, Jonathan, I'll probably put on a little fondant here next week. I haven't put on any fondant. And I put on those I make those candy boards, and I put a little pollen and apis in them too. That's the ugliest thing I ever laid out. Well, maybe not the ugliest, but in the top 10.
Well, he keeps Melissa in there to keep it balanced.
Mm-hmm. 9 times out of 10, if they send you a photo, they'll be eating.
Yep.
I think he's got a tapeworm. He ain't bigger than a peanut, he's skinny and eats all the time.
Well, I hadn't been in a hive since I put that fondant on, but I did go back and look. Just pull the lid off and look, and I almost decided to go yesterday or today, since it was kind of nice, and cut the little bags open a little bit more.
Yeah.
But yesterday I pulled the lid off and looked through the interview cover, and the stronger of the 3 hives, they were actually getting up in there, So I said I'm not going to open it up in this. It was cool yesterday, and I knew it was going to be like 25 again this morning during the night, 25, 26 degrees. So I didn't bother. The other 2, they're not eating quite as fast, I guess, because they're little small colonies. They may not even make it through the winter, A couple of them even struggled trying to get started late last year. So, and I'll do what I can to help them a little bit, but I'm not going to do welfare on them. If it's happenstance, I'll feed them and everything. But if it's just from being a bad queen, I'm not going to deal with it too much. So if they make it through the winter, good. I'll do what I need to do with them. If they don't make it, that's.
Well, I'm going to tell you what my experience has been that fondant. Can you get some off of Matt? And Matt give you some? Is that what you put on your hives?
Yeah.
I think you'll find if they can get to it. That stuff will help quite a lot. Them weaker hives. That's just my opinion now.
Yeah. But I was thinking that me putting that lid down on there, I was thinking I might have had it too thin and they couldn't get up in the bag, but they were getting up in it. So I said, I'm not going to open it,
I have an observation window on that long lang hive I've got from Ricky, and I got in it today. I was kind of concerned, I didn't reduce it down with the falling board like you was talking about last night.
Yeah.
And I've still got, I think, 19 frames in that hive, and there's not bees on all of it, but there's bees. Oh man, but I put some fondant on it. I put some Hive Alive fondant on it January the 2nd is when I put those candy boards and put that fondant in them in that long leg straw hive, and they seem to be doing quite well. I'm going to have to move that fondant. I'm going to have to get in there next time I go in the bees out there and move that fondant a little more over on top of the cluster. But I've got, as best I can tell, I've got 11 frames. It's got bees, had bees on them in that long length straw of the 19. There's 11 of them for sure. And there's them bees are coming over to the side in there. I'm going to say 3 inches to get to that fondant. It's Hive Alive fondant, but it's but there was bees inside the fondant. They were eating on it this afternoon. It's in there.
Yeah, they like that fondant. I was surprised how quick that stronger little colony took it.
Yeah.
When I say stronger, I don't mean it was real strong. It's just the stronger of the 3,
Yeah. Well, they can get to it and they're going to survive. Well, I think that'll help them. It's soft, they don't have to work so hard to get the goodie out of it. I think that's the main reason. Maybe. Well, I'll tell you what, that bee honeybee, we're going to have to start charging them more. Now they're politicking or soliciting business on the chat. I'm telling you.
Had to keep tabs on them.
Mark that down. That's another $50 worth.
Brian says he's seen some pollen coming in.
I don't know if Mark Miller, are you still on here? I seen you made a post there. Are you at home or you on the road? If you're on there, let me know.
Yeah.
You said, did you say you had a question about the creamed honey or something?
Yeah, I did. I was wondering a little bit how you made it, and then how long you stirred it when you did, and for how long.
Well, I bought the seed from somebody else, and Greg Don, and I used it. It's a good smooth texture, and I bought it from him, and I bought this. It's a little KitchenAid, and I guess I'm putting like 1 jar of seed, and the first couple of times I did 9 jars of the honey, room temperature honey, after it had been heated a little bit. And I've got that thing on a timer, and I run it at least 3 days, sometimes maybe 4, just and keep eye on it. But it runs 15 minutes and then stays off for 45.
Now, I've actually got on Google, and there's several videos of different people doing it in different ways and so forth. But I'd rather rely on somebody that I knew and trusted, so to speak. Do you run that, like you say, 3 days, or you talk about 24-hour days, or you talk about daylight days?
I turn it on and leave it on that timer. It'll run 15 and all 45, 24 for at least 3 days. And I've noticed that when it gets to a certain point, it'll get lighter and lighter and lighter. You know, it starts off dark, and it'll finally get to that point where it doesn't get any lighter, and that was right at the 3.5 day mark, something like that. You know, I don't know if I left it any longer, it'll get a lighter color.
Do you do any flavored? Put any flavoring in it at all?
Not yet. I hadn't done any kind of flavored.
There's some guy in Oklahoma that, I think he and Dirt Rooster's got any friends. They put out a video 3 years ago. I don't know if you remember. They were sampling some I'm trying to say the creamed honey. They were sampling some of it, and he had different things. And he, if I understood him right, he said to flavor it, he used what they call it, essential oil, some food safe essential oil.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I didn't know whether people used. You haven't put any used like putting real strawberries in it, or real bananas, or real lemon. Well, you wouldn't want to put real lemon in it, I guess.
Yeah.
What people used. If anybody's got some comments, some of you experts on there. I never thought I'd be asking anything about creamed honey because I've made so much fun of Brian's about it and Melissa did people about making it. But I've got some, like I said, I've got some fall honey. It's a little darker than there's a creamed honey guy I can ask too, I guess. Get all his expertise. How are you, Mike?
Hey, JW, how's it going, Joey?
All right.
I heard y'all talking about cream honey. I got done working on a video about cream honey. I made some. I mentioned you several times, Joey, about how you were talking about how it lightens up the longer you mix it.
Yeah.
And I only mixed mine. You still hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear you. We just can't see you.
I'll get you back.
You turned your camera off. Looks like it.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Thumb drive. There we go. Yeah. So anyway, I made some and I did a video because somebody asked me to. And I've always hand mixed mine, you know. I'm trying to get set up. Sorry about that. And I hand mixed it. And I told them how you showed that, or how you found out that the longer you did it, the lighter it got. But I only mixed mine like 6 or 7 times with the drill for like 15 minutes a piece, and then an interval, and then 15 minutes, you know, and then like a 45-minute interval. And then I did it with a paint stir that Russell Koopman had showed me. And then I turned around and had to go to the expo. I had to go to Florida and Expo, so I let it set up. And it sure enough, it's not super light, but it came out super good. So I'm pretty excited about it. But I'm interested to try and do it for a long time and lighten it up the way you were talking about.
Let's see. It starts off almost the same color as the honey.
Right. Mine lightened up a little bit with a little bit of mixing.
This is my seed. I dug in it to make sure it was still smooth. But you see how light that is?
Yeah, that's super light. See, mine came out lighter than when it started. But then I remembered you saying you did yours for a few days, 3 days, I think you said, in that mixer, and you have that timer. But it came out good. It tastes great, so I'm happy about that. Real excited how smooth it is.
This is what my timer looks like, JW. Now this thing here probably 20 years old.
I was gonna say, that looks like antique, Joey.
Yeah, it's old. It's even a Timex brand name.
Ooh, Timex. That's big time back in the day.
But every one of those little buttons right there is 15 minutes.
Yeah. Well, my doll and stuff's got those buttons just like that. The one I just got today, but I couldn't find one that went for anything less than 30-minute intervals. I got mine off Amazon. It's, of course, all that stuff's made in China.
I think that's all you need, JW's 30-minute interval. I mean, to be honest with you,
yeah,
you know, it's really about making sure it's mixed as one with that seed. And I mean, as long as you're not whipping it with air and you're doing it slow, 30-minute intervals is fine. Really.
Now, do you have a KitchenAid, JW?
Yeah, my wife does, but I've already been told if I mess it up, I'm going to get my head cut off. Throat cut.
Yeah, those are some
Uh,
prized possessions, JW.
Yeah.
see, now mine, when you have it on, if you lose power and plug it back in or whatever,
Yeah.
it'll start running again. But Philip said his doesn't.
Yeah, I heard you guys talk about that here a while back on one of our chats. Like I said, this is all new to me. I'm going to try some. I've got some honey. I've got some honey that's a little darker. There's some late summer, fall extracted honey that was a little darker, and I want to put out there to my runny honey customer, so to speak. I just don't like the looks of it, so I'm gonna try to. It's got a real good flavor to it. It's not it's darker than I like the looks of when I put it in the jar or and I'm gonna cream it and see if it'll lighten it up, make it a little bit nicer presentation.
I was saying that in my video too, is I think, that's what I said about it lightening up, and how Joey and I had literally just talked about this thing when I was making it. I think it was one of them rides up to the meetings we did. And, I only mixed it for a day and it came out wonderful, but it didn't lighten up. And I said, one thing about honey sales, I don't care if it's runny honey, honeycomb, or what you got, presentation is everything. Like when people come by the market and they see that table set up with all that golden honey and different jars and your candles, like it's got to look appealing. And sometimes if it's darker, you better have a sample out, because if they don't know what it is and they see that old dark stuff in the jar, they usually don't want nothing to do with it. But you let them taste it and it's game on. But that honey looking appealing at that table to me is so key.
Somebody's asking, I use the dough hook. That's the one with the least friction.
Yeah, less air to get in there.
Yeah.
I don't know one together. I'll have to ask my wife what to use.
And I use it on the lowest speed. I actually wish it had one a little bit lower, but
see that comment by Vince Gagnier, I think it's that's what you were telling me, Joey, is yours is a different older model or something, where yours will start back up. His won't restart on a timer.
Yeah.
I haven't tried mine yet.
I bought this one from Walmart. Now, if you buy one off Amazon, it may be different, so I'm sure Walmart's is all the same everywhere. I might have just got lucky.
James Knowles says he did all his creamed honey by hand. That's how I did it, James. I did it. I've done it for 6 or 7 years by hand, every single time. And then when I got that stirrer that Russell Koopman showed me that doesn't swirl, man, that thing made a world of difference. That'll be the way I do it from now on until I get big enough to buy a creamer. I just don't see myself buying one yet.
That's what I did the first time. I'd made it several years ago. Now, I did cheat on some, and I used my wife's. It was a lot cheaper mixer than this one. And I would just put one instead of putting both spinners in there, whatever you call them. I just put one in there. But it was still too fast, just trying to make small batches. But
yeah,
it was better just to, I tried to make at least a little gallon at a time or so.
Well, I hope to get that video out next week and show that piece that Russell had shown me, and it's pretty neat. It's not a normal paint; it's a paint stirrer, but it's not like the swirly kind. And I tell you what, I found that sweet spot with that drill, and I would just sit there for about 10-15 minutes, and then I'd stop for about 45, and I'd go back out and do it 10-15. I did that about 6 times in one day, and it came out. Man, I wanted to do it a second day, but I had to get on the road so I could get to the expo. And I tell you what. So I was kind of nervous, but I stuck it in that fridge on the highest setting the fridge had, and it came out great.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that, Joey. When you got yours, when you finished it up, did you jar it or bottle it immediately and then put it in the refrigerator? Is that what you done?
Okay. Yep. As soon as I decided it was done enough, I just poured it into the jars, measured 8 ounces.
The only thing I do that too, but I let it sit overnight to where any bubbles that were in there will rise because
Yeah.
I don't want that foam on top. Like
Mhm.
that foam, we know as the beekeepers, it don't hurt it, but
Yeah.
because it's just a little thin layer of like stiff foam.
Well,
But again, it goes back to appearance. So I let it sit
actually, the
overnight and then
longer
I
you
bottle it.
do it, day wise, seems like the less foam there is.
Yeah, I'm sure it goes because it dissipates as it's coming
Yeah.
up. So I let it sit overnight and it'll be a thin layer. I mean, when I say thin, maybe one bubble layer, tiny bubble, and then I'll turn around and bottle it. And then those few that have that little bit of stiff foam at the top, and I say it's very little, you can barely see it, but I use them last.
Brian, I did have some separate when I made it several years ago. One of the last batches I did, after it sat there about a week, it would separate. Now, it wouldn't be pure liquid honey. It would just be 2 stages of creamed honey. You could mix it all back up real good and it'd stay that way for 2 or 3 days again.
Yeah, if it gets heated, like Russell said, we'll sit at the market. When we go to the market when it's 95 outside, some of that creamed honey, after it sits all day, it'll turn around and get that little bit of liquid slush on top because it's just so darn hot outside.
Russell Koopman, how do you, now these folks tell me you do quite a bit of flavor in your creamed honey. What do you use for flavoring material? Do you use essential oils or you use the real McCoy?
Shoot, he uses the real McCoy. He showed me how he made his.
Okay.
He does. He blends it up in a food processor.
Okay. Like blackberries or that kind of stuff.
So he says he uses both. I know this the blueberry stuff I got, man. It is fantastic. And that lemon stuff he makes, oh my gosh. Now, he's got it figured out. If he showed up to Expo this year, he'd give me some, JW, but he didn't show.
I bought some from Greg Dunn. When I got that seed, I bought several different flavors from him. It didn't last long around here between me and my granddaughter. My middle granddaughter. It don't last long.
I think that video I happened to see when I was scrolling through that stuff looking for information, that Randy and got out there on Oklahoma, but I think the creamed honey that Randy had was from Greg Dunn down there by y'all. I guess he's down there by y'all. I don't know the man.
He is.
Yeah.
You talking about the video?
Yeah.
I know he did. Him and somebody did do a tasting of Greg's. They had several different flavors.
Yeah.
I remember that one. Is that the one you?
Yeah, that's been 2 or 3 years ago when he put it out. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. I think Randy said that the actual creamed honey that they was actually doing the tasting on was from, I believe he mentioned Greg Dunn by name. That's where it come from. But,
yeah, that was Byron Ferris was one of the creamed honey guys he had that Nathan had at Duck River Hunting, and I forget who else he had. And Byron Ferris, he's from Columbia, Tennessee. He makes I think he made his own creamer, if I'm not mistaken. But his creamed honey is pretty phenomenal. It's good stuff.
I don't see why that wouldn't work. What he's talking about, someone in the chat there mentioned, how about using an ice cream mixer? That'd be about the right speed, would it not, with a big paddle?
Oh yeah, yeah.
If you don't burn the motor up, that'd be the perfect machine.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, well, only problem with the electric mixers, ice cream mixers, they work great with that paddle, but they're designed to shut off when they hit that certain amount of resistance.
Well.
So that'd be the only thing.
I just happened to notice that in the chat. Somebody said, how about an ice cream mixer? And I think I'm not going to make any batches that big. I won't make over, like little half-pint jars that you're using or whatever they are. Maybe make enough to fill like 10 or a dozen of those at a time, just to see how it worked. It'd be a new project for me.
I ought to get my ice cream maker out and just try it.
I would. I bet that would work good.
I burn it up. My wife's gonna get mad at me, but
well,
get you a hand crank one, Joey.
Well, what I'll do, I'll just go. Yeah.
What you could do there, Joe, is if you could either replace the
I
ice
go
cream
buy
making
another one and
machine
she'll
and you
never
burn it
know.
up, or replace your wife, you'd have two choices at least.
I just go buy another ice cream maker and she'll never know it.
Might be cheaper than replacing your wife, I can tell you that.
Yeah. She might replace me.
Mm. So what have you been up to, world famous? Have you been in your beehives or anything since the big snow?
No, I did open one. I got a little clip of it. I threw some of Matt's fondant. I've been putting some of Matt's fondant on with some Hive Alive. I didn't realize he had supplement in it until I watched his video. That stuff is phenomenal. But I did a video and I opened a hive just to put the fondant on because it had a heat signature way at the top. I mean, a hot one too. And I knew they didn't have fondant on them. Like, I didn't really, they were still heavy, but I wanted to put some on. That's the only opening I did. And it was 2 days after the snow. I think it was still snow on the ground. So it wasn't, but it was in the low 30s, but I hadn't been in them. I've been straightening out bee equipment and kind of getting my inventory together. So I know what I got. And that's been about it. It's just, I don't mess with them in the winter. If they're outside of throwing some fondant on, I just try not to mess with them too much.
Guess what? My camera just fell off. I'm gonna have to dig it out.
Oh,
My camera just fell off. Went someplace.
yeah. Via said that. Yeah, that's Tom or Melissa are both saying that, but they've been here on time. They'd heard us
That's
talk
Melissa.
about
He
it.
don't know. Tom don't know any more about
They'd
it
have been
than
on
I
here on
do.
time. They out there messing around up in Wisconsin right now.
I'm gonna mute me, Joey. I've got to dig my camera back out. It fell off I had it on the top of my screen and it fell off the back.
Okay.
Hey, Joey, have you checked that fondant that Matt gave us?
Yeah.
Mine tore it up. I mean, quick.
Yeah. I divided it in 4 pieces and I put 3 of them on my little single brood colonies.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them actually eat it up pretty quick.
Yeah.
Everything that I had exposed, they eat that part up quick. And I was going to go back and cut the bag open a little more, but they were able to get up in there, so they slowly cleaning it out. So I said, I'm gonna leave them alone.
That stuff I put on that day after the snow, I guess I didn't put a lot on. They had probably ate half of it already. I will say the only thing I noticed is they seem to consume it a little quicker than Hive Alive, but other than that, it's almost exactly the same. Now I went out there and broke pieces off by hand. That was a mistake. I should have put them like you did in a bag or between parchment paper. So I finally went and I got like 4 patties left on parchment paper. But that stuff is nice that he made. I'll tell you what, it's nice stuff.
Yep. I could smell something in it, but I didn't know what I was smelling. I didn't know what
it was. Hive Alive. I know I smelled Hive Alive in it. He's on here. I don't know where he's at.
Yeah, I seen him a few minutes ago.
I didn't know what it was. So when I brought it in the house, I said, okay, I messed up. I got sticky. I had to put rubber gloves on and everything. Well, I brought it in the house and I turned around and said, let me cut this stuff up and put it in parchment paper. Well, warmed up in the house and I opened it up. Man, it reeked. I like, oh man, did it go bad? But then what I realized, I was smelling that Hive Alive.
Yeah.
Which Hive Alive don't reek bad, but I don't know, it was mixing with something. But anyway, and I know, so I remember in his video, he was mixing Hive Alive and he was actually putting some Apis biologics in, but he probably didn't waste that stuff on me and you because that's $high stuff. But it definitely had Hive Alive in it. That I could tell, or something with the same smell as Hive Alive.
There you go.
Oh, look at there. He gave us some Apis. Man, we're special. Well, you just make sure and watch the video. It's gonna come out tomorrow, Matt. And I think I butchered your last name, but anyway, I'm definitely let them know where to find that video at. So they may be wanting to ask questions and start making the stuff. Oh, yeah. But I don't know. I tried to make it years ago, just like he did, and I think the problem is, I don't know if y'all ever them glass top stoves, if y'all ever try to do stuff with those, but they don't do like you turn an electric eye on, it stays at a certain heat. If it's medium heat, it stays at medium heat, and so you just watch your whatever you're cooking. With a glass top, that thing goes up and down and maintains a certain temperature, and so you can't ever get it hot enough. You can get just about to where you need to get that softball stage. And that's when I gave up. I said, I'm done.
Yeah.
But he did it, man. He came out good.
No,
Did I get any further while I was off there, Joy?
this is no. Now, this is Doug here, Mike. I don't know if you know him or not, but he's a serious creamed honey maker.
Yes, he
I've
is.
seen him.
He's
I see, and I try to remember 57 degrees. I've read Dice's way he makes creamed honey. I mean, I studied it hard before I ever made it, and I knew what it did. I don't personally. I knew the minimum 3 days. I don't know. I don't know about that because that's not how Dice did it necessarily. With I mean, but I see it. It definitely would make it creamier doing it longer.
Yeah,
I definitely see that, but
that's what I did all mine about 3 days. I know that's when the color seemed to just quit changing, and the texture, the color and the texture seemed to just kind of stop right there.
Yeah, I saw he was on here one night. I think he's got a channel, doesn't he? Because I went over to his channel, and subscribed. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I subscribed to him because he was talking about the creamed honey. But the 3-day thing, I'd like to do it for 3 days, but it's not practical for me. And I think I'd love to see it do it 3 days so it would lighten up some more. But I did it one day, and I'm gonna tell you, as creamy as the seed was, it's as creamy as the seed was.
Yeah.
I use Cox for my seed, and once I get mine good, then I use my own seed, of course. But I want to be able to do it for 3 days and try it and see the stuff lighten up for me a lot.
I think Doug Longman there, Mike. I think he makes it about a ton at a time.
Yeah, he does. He makes a bunch. I've seen it. I subscribed to his channel. I was blown away. I'd like to get some of his for a seed if I'd have known about it, but I'd already bought Cox. But I'd have loved to have some of his. He's a professional.
At least on the liquid honey, there was a time when I used to use, what do you call it, cellophane wrap, just kind of take a little piece and lay on top after it settles out and just pull it up from the middle, and it'd pull all that foam up. But I really don't have that much foam anymore.
Oh, yeah, I'm subscribed to his channel. I thought I was.
He don't usually have just a lot to say on the chats, but when he says something, well, you can carve it in stone. It's pretty well true. I think he's got lots of experience. He's even a professional skunk catcher up there. He can out trap me, I think.
Yeah, I'm looking at his videos. I've been watching him. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. I knew he talked about it because he's got that Lyson creamer that he uses. Yeah,
big time. Yeah.
And that's why I said in my video, I said, that's the way to go. If you're going to make a lot, man, you got it. You just might as well have one. But I just can't right now. I can't. I'd love to get one day, but it's not in the cards right now.
There was somebody I was watching, and I can't remember who it was on creamed honey. He had a big, pretty big creamer, and it was a heated one, where you could get your honey warmed to where it needed to go to decrystallize it. And what he was doing, once he got to that point and got it back down to room temperature, he was hooking up. Let's see if I can remember because it's been a while since I watched it. He was running that same water jacket, the water in that jacket, he was running it through a refrigerator or something and chilling that water to a certain temperature, like 57 degrees or whatever, 55, and pumping it through that jacket on that creamer, keeping it cool. Now, I don't know how that turned out, but I remember watching that video.
And some of that stuff, them videos I seen on that, some of them people was heating that honey to 150 degrees. I think that'd be way too hot.
Well, that's actually what Dice did. So when the guy that made creamed honey did it, he pasteurized that honey. The original creamed honey guy, he would pasteurize it up above 150 or so, or right at 150, and that would guarantee him no crystals in the yeasts. He was concerned with the yeasts as well, because with crystals, larger crystals especially, you get that moisture tends to, I think it attaches to them is how it works. I forget exactly what it was. And so what he was doing was making sure that the yeast was killed and that the crystals were completely gone, so that he would never have any fermenting. And then that way that creamed honey could sit on a kitchen table for a year and have no problems. That was his whole.
I think Melissa said that she brings hers to 140.
Yeah, I mean, that's I mean, I don't bring mine. I take mine to the normal 100 to 110 and hope that it's crisp. I got it out. But Dice, the way Dice did it, he pasteurized it.
Yeah. Way I see it, if you don't eat my honey fast enough to keep it from souring,
that's kind of,
you shouldn't have bought it.
Right. So we solved that problem by putting it in a small jar, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm glad you guys brought that up. I seen some of that in some of that trading, that honey trade at Nobby. Some of them jars had a little old deal on there that said crystallization is inherited property of this product or of honey. I wonder where they're getting those at. I wouldn't mind.
Oh, you can get them at, I think Man Lake has them. Much as I hate them
on their jars.
I don't like to recommend Man Lake to anybody, but I believe they have them.
I bet Blue Sky's got them too. Blue Sky Bee Supply.
Yeah, I get some stuff off them on occasion.
Yeah,
having a
better
pass.
be.
I'll check with them.
There you go. 4 years making creamed honey, never heated mine past 105.
Yeah.
Well, they also got different honey. When you're dealing with tallow honey down here, we can't get away with that all the time, because if
that's true.
Tallow honey crystallizes so fast that if we have any crystals in it, I mean, it's gonna. I've had it happen. It's followed that wrong crystal, and it's basically ruined the whole batch.
I was wrong. He's at the 165.
165. There you go. Right. That's right. Via. And again, Dice also killed the yeast in it. That was another reason to bring it up so high.
That's what I'm looking for, Jonathan. I didn't know where they came from. Better Bee's got them. Okay.
I'm going to say Better Bee. That's who I was looking up. I'm pretty sure they have it.
Well, I just hadn't looked yet. I'm too lazy. It's a lot easier for me to ask questions than it is to do my own legwork.
So does Blue Sky also has them.
Okay, well, they're probably pretty.
$16.95 for a roll of 250.
That'd be 3 lifetime supplies for me, probably.
Right, and you can get the 1-inch circle, or you can get a mini rectangle. So you can.
That's where I get all my labels. Blue Sky.
Yeah, they do custom labels, everything.
I've got a local label maker, and I've got some from Better Be in the past. They're my local, my provider for labels. puts it on sheets. They don't have where they can put them on rolls, and to me, the rolls are quite a bit handier. So freaking yeast and honey will be dead in 8 hours when held at 125. Wait a minute.
You're asking me, my
Right.
queens are just mutt queens.
1 minute, 160. That's right, Stan. That's exactly right. And so that was again one of his reasons he did it was to kill the yeast. It you go by the time frame. Who put that out? Somebody else had put that out about how long.
Bob Benny did a video on it.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I can't remember who he got it from. He
Right.
said who he got it from.
It was the same thing that Stan just said, that at different temperatures for different lengths of time.
Well, I'm going to put out the caveat. I got mine from Joey Rawls. My seed, it ought to be good stuff. Cost me $25 a bottle, though. How's a bad thing about it? Or was it 50 you charged me, Joey?
Joey's price gouging.
Yeah, Joey didn't charge me a penny for anything. He even furnished me a place to spend the night and didn't want to charge me. And then bought my lunch the next day.
We thought we were going to eat fried chicken. We ended up eating fried fish.
Mm-hmm. I'm coming back next week again, Joey. You did such a good job. I will afraid of.
Yeah, it was fun having y'all over there. We had a good time eating out and going to the meeting, man. I enjoyed that.
That was I didn't do a head count. That was the most people we ever had in there.
Oh, really? The other night? I might put that a little short. I seen it popped up on there of the bee meeting. What's that gentleman's name that's your president now?
Randy.
What's his last name?
Green.
Green. Okay.
But the president now is another guy. They got a new president there now.
Joey's going to take back over, is he?
No, I took it.
Oh, you're the new.
Oh, you took it again?
Yeah, I told him that night, as long as he give me a key, I ain't fighting for that key no more. I won't do that. And he hasn't texted me back, so I'm starting to wonder whether he had some static from the lady. He was going to go talk to her.
I'm kind of glad I brought this cream time.
Yeah, I stepped up, Eddie. I stepped up. You're going to be the next one, though, Eddie.
A lot of
make Eddie the vice president now.
There you go. I'm going to point that on this stream right here. He's going to be the vice president.
Everybody wants Eddie.
Raise your hand.
Raise your hand. There you go.
All right, Eddie. Eddie, you're now the vice president. There you go. Oh, but guess what? So I told Randy I'd take the first meeting. I take this year's president because nobody else would step up. Eddie, I'm further than you. I don't want to hear it. But I have to miss the next meeting so that's why I asked you to do the splits, Joey.
Okay.
Because I'm not going to be there. I'm going to see Stan Gore in Texas at Winding Creek Bee Supply.
Okay. I'll make something up.
It's going to be, I know you're going to do just fine. You're going to give them all the information they need. It ain't going to be confusing this year either. You'll have them figured out. But it's one of them deals where it's just been me and Joey and Randy now for the last, before the pandemic.
Well, what happened? I'll think of his name in a minute. The vice president didn't want to step up?
Nope, and that irritated me too. I'm going to talk to him about that. I'm going to call him too and give him a hard time.
Everybody that was vice president over the years has stepped up to the president, and with a couple of exceptions.
Well,
anyway,
Eddie will be we're gonna reinstate that. So Eddie's gonna step up next year to president. So we're gonna train him as vice president this year.
Yeah. I know he can do it.
Oh yeah, you don't have to know everything.
It's the third Thursday of every month at LSU Ag Center in Franklinton, Louisiana, at 6 o'clock.
6
Doors
o'clock.
doors open around 5-ish, 5:30-ish. Since Mike's president, it might be 6 now because we're gonna eat first.
That's the problem. I told him nobody else would step up, so I did it.
When I was the vice president and president, I always got there around 4:30, plug the coffee pot in, have everything ready.
Well, I was thinking about introducing something when I get back in March about trying to do it at 6:30, kind of compromise between 6 and 7.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see how they like that. Well, that's good to know, Eddie. Maybe I'll get a hold of him.
Yeah, it was a pretty good talk he did. It took me the first 10 minutes to kind of get used to his accent because he didn't talk Pinese at all. And once I kind of was able to pick up on his dialect and understand what he was saying, it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll get somebody in there. We'll do something. Or if not, we'll just do what we did the years when we did it. And we'll just come up with subjects every month and figure out how to do it. We'll figure something out.
I always used to get tickled. Hey, Bob. I always used to get tickled that somebody would show up that missed the last meeting and every question they asked was answered at the last meeting.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how it works.
You can't get mad about it. You just have to laugh.
Right.
Under your breath about it. That kind of reminds me of a fella. He was joking, but a fella come up to me one time after church. He said, You ever wonder why the person that needed to hear that message the preacher preached wasn't here? I was thinking maybe you needed to hear it again. Let's see what Stan said here.
That's true. I mean, it does kill the enzymes off. That's what I always tell people when they ask about what makes it raw and what the difference is the enzymes are still intact. And of course, you've got little small microscopic granules of pollen that, since you don't high pressure filter it or anything. But the yeast is still there. So you got to make sure your water content's just right. That's all that science of honey to do different things with it. It's always easier to just put it in a bottle and sell it, to be honest with you.
Silence.
So we're planning to go see Bruce and them, huh? Joey, you still planning on going?
Yes, sir.
So we'll probably be shooting some videos over at Bruce Jenny's place, I'm sure. At least visiting for a little bit.
When's that all taking place? Next weekend?
Yes, the 31st, Friday. So we'll be meeting Greg Burns in Dothan, Alabama.
Oh, God. I don't know. That would be a confab deluxe over there.
I tell you, we had it last time, and Lisa's on here. She could tell you about it. But she wasn't out with us, but we stopped by her place. We, us three, went over there to Dothan, and we had a big time. Oh, there you go. Hey, I think you're getting some stuff too, Lisa. Grammy. I guess I can call you Grammy. But we had a good time, and we worked bees all day long, and then we all went out to eat. We had Ed, someone. We had Lisa was there. We had a few people. Randy showed up just for the food, of course. He showed up at the restaurant. Greg, myself, Greg's whole family was there. They were heading on vacation anyway down to Florida, so it was a good time, man. I made a video of that. I guess Bruce made a video too. We both did. And that's something worth watching, man. That was good times. That was a great day, man. It was a fun-filled, packed day, though. Like, we split, we opened up hives, we put in queens. We did just a lot of good stuff. And it was a grand old time. We're not gonna be able to do all that this time, I don't think, but
He gives you the old Tom Sawyer treatment. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, yeah, exactly. We worked. We whitewashed that fence. Oh, Russell went by. Where'd you go by, Russell? Did you go up I-55? I was working. I was out on the highway working yesterday, so. And today, actually, I was out on the highway where I had to work today till 3 o'clock, 3:30.
You know what?
We got to start lining up our split soon. We got to get over to Darren's pretty soon, too. It's right around the corner. We're going to be splitting hives down here.
Yeah.
There's a slight possibility that I might be down there. I go to that country quite frequently. So,
well, yeah, you used to live just south of Dothan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a Florida born and bred, lived over in Madison, so I know where you were at.
Yeah. Yeah, I lived there in Mexico Beach and Port St. Joe for almost 18 years, like a few days and 18 years.
Yeah. Yep. And of course, Mexico Beach took such a beating during Hurricane Michael. Man, it was just devastating what happened down there.
Yeah. Heck, I went back down there, Mike, changing the subject, getting off of bees, but I went back down there and I lived right there in the edge of Mexico Beach for 10 or 12 years before I moved down to Port St. Joe. And I got up there and got lost in the town. There wasn't any trees, but all the old land markings was gone, and a lot of the houses was gone. I was going to cut through the country to go up to Weewahitchka.
Weewahitchka, yep.
And I got lost in the town. I thought I'd go back out to 98 and go down and take the main road. I got back in there, and there's all new houses and cul-de-sacs and stuff like that. And I walked around for about 45 minutes and went back to the highway and went around because I could figure out how to get through town. And I lived there for several years.
Yeah, it did a number. Changed. It did a number.
Russell Koopman always back up north. He's not much snow here either.
Yeah, well, we had actually the funny thing about that snow was New Orleans got 10 to 11 inches. We only got about 6 up here because the band was actually south of us. And they said since 18 something, that's the biggest snow they've had in New Orleans. That's obvious. They were skiing down. They had a guy with skis going down the levee. Had him on the news.
Ain't that something?
Yeah, that's right. Lisa Fort Gaines and a little town on past Fort Gaines over called Edison. I fish over Fort Gaines all the time.
Yeah, I hadn't been back down at Mexico Beach and that coast since Michael. I hadn't seen what the rebuilding looks like.
It don't look the same. I can tell you that. Mexico Beach, then they get down to paint Port St. Joe, if you know what I'm talking about. Didn't hardly do any damage at all there. I was back in behind the Cape, goes out to the front.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So
that Mexico Beach used to be a pretty place.
That's a lot prettier now. I got rid of all them old junk houses, little beach houses the hurricanes did. But you can't afford to live there now.
That's the thing.
You know, all those turismos moved in from all of us Yankees moved in down moved down there and can't afford to live there now.
You know, you mentioned that we had a we had a couple of gull wing riders in our group moved back in this area years ago. The man was originally from this area. He went in the military and he was retired from the military. And his wife, first time I'd met her, and she said she was from Florida. I said, okay, tell me where you're really from.
Right. That's about right.
Yeah. But she had lived in Florida several years before they had got married, and then but she had actually moved down here from north somewhere. I don't forgot where she was at.
Good Lord, will have to forgive me for what I'm about to say here. Folks used to come down here to visit me from Yankee Land, and they say, well, how can you tell the native Florida ones, the native Floridians? I said, they're the ones with no teeth. That was pretty true.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't call it the Redneck Riviera for nothing down there.
That's true. Mhm.
Yeah, no. Did a lot of time back there when I was in high school. Our goal was always get to Panama City Beach at least once during the summer.
Mm-hmm. I tried to stay as far away from there as I could all the time. I had one boat run over to Destin, out of Destin, and one out of Orange Beach, so I was back and forth across. And he ate there quite frequently in 10.
All right, get ready, JW.
Oh my God.
Man, I knew they were going to come in from their hotel room.
Good evening, Mr. Mike. Joey.
About time for me to go.
No, it's not. Don't you dare. We were trying to listen in a little bit in the restaurant, but it's kind of loud in there. Holy cow, your cans are cold.
Yeah, we could tell you were trying to listen because you were repeating stuff we'd already said.
Well, I couldn't hear what you were saying because it was loud, but I could read,
just going off.
I could read the comments in the chat. That's about it.
Okay, so Russell went up from Biloxi. Okay,
How was everyone
Biloxi
tonight?
49. Wow. Oh, that's a long. Ooh, 49. Gosh, I wouldn't drive down that road.
No, red lights everywhere.
Right. So you actually, Russell Koopman, you actually didn't go by us. You went right by. You went literally right by Randy, 628 Dirt Rooster. If you went up 49.
Mm-hmm. That actually originates down there in Gulfport, done 49
right.
Right up through there. Yeah.
Well, if he went from Biloxi over to 49, then he probably bypassed him by quite a bit. But he was in Randy's neck of the woods.
A lot of times I take 49 and then get over to what is it? 50,
59. Yeah. That 49, it wasn't bad
but
20, 30 years ago, but more now it's rough.
If he stayed on 49, he drove right by Big Old Honey.
Yeah, he did. He did because he went to Jackson, so he had to go right by.
Yeah.
Larry and them.
We met Minnesota Mike today.
Oh, is that right? You get all those cheese heads lined up there, did you? Huh?
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Did you get nature?
I don't remember.
I thought he said Russell.
No, I don't know.
You sure it wasn't Russell?
No, I'm not sure.
Oh, is Russell in the chat? Was he up here today?
Yeah.
Russell
Koopman?
He said he's
in
in
Russell,
Iowa.
were you?
Down south, Russell Koopman.
Yeah, he's in Iowa.
I
He
was gonna
said
say-
right now.
Yeah.
He headed home.
Okay.
Yeah, he wouldn't have been there.
Down
Yeah,
the Gulf Coast.
We met Minnesota Mike today. It was nice.
How many people are there?
I don't know.
I don't know. Great.
It's really spread out because it's like in two separate buildings. It's almost like an ag center, I guess, and it's in two separate buildings. So it's hard to get a real good count on everybody who's there, but when we were in like the main area for like the opening talks, I would say around 200 people maybe.
Oh, really?
Yes, but
Wasn't it
Greg,
real- I thought that was a real big deal last year.
Well,
when
this
they
is
did
no,
it.
this is the first year
Yeah.
for them.
Okay, that's
So
a different
the
one.
beak meet. So yes,
Yeah.
that one actually got canceled this year. They were on the same weekend and they were like a half hour away from each other.
Mhm.
So anyway,
Huh.
I don't know. When we were in the main hall, main stage area for the opening speaker, there was maybe 200 people in there.
Well, it wasn't even really the opening speaker.
Well, the opening ceremonies, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And then we didn't make it back into that location until the tail end of the day. Yeah. Somebody kept running her mouth the whole time.
No.
I can't
Mike
imagine
agrees.
that.
Greg Burns acted like there was like 400 or 500 people there, and I'm like,
Well, because I asked him how
I don't
many
really
tickets were sold,
I didn't really see that.
but I'm wondering if that's like for total for the 2 days, like 200 people are supposed to be there today and 200 people are supposed to be there tomorrow. So like they were counting us twice, you know what I mean? Because there's no way there was 500 people, 400 or 500 people there today.
Mhm.
Well, I guess I'm glad I didn't fly up there at the last minute then.
They have a lot of really good vendors.
Yeah, Mike. I mean, Mike. Honestly, I think you would have enjoyed just meeting people. You know, honestly.
Well, that's something that I'm getting. The meeting people thing was awesome, man. I tell you, Louisiana was good, Mississippi was good, and all that. But the only issue I find now is now the expo's fine because they're giving us the lectures now, but I don't get to go to the lectures a lot of times, and I miss out. And I really enjoy lectures from people. That's where I get knowledge.
Evening, everyone.
Big Mike. And so
Hi, Mike.
I really enjoy that. But that's what if I would have
Good
flew
evening.
up there to go see that lineup they had quite the lineup.
You know, I would say that it
No,
seemed like
Mike.
predominantly the crowd that's kind of up here, and I'm not saying everybody, and I don't say this with a negative connotation either. So, you know, I don't want it to sound like that. There's a lot of,
Treatment,
you know, quote unquote treatment free guys up here, and so there was a lot of discussion about that.
How about now?
And yeah, we can hear you, Mike.
Hello, everyone.
And if I'm being honest, I like to hear the back and forth. So at the tail end of today, it was probably for an hour and something.
It was an hour. They had a panel.
Greg Burns actually did a moderation with
Michael Bush,
James
Lee,
James Lee,
and Ian.
and then Ian Stepler. And honestly, it was good. It really was. And so I was kind of joking around with Greg before that. He said to us, we were standing there with, I don't know, him and one or two other people and just kind of chatting. And he's like, hey, what kind of questions do you want me to ask? Or what kind of questions do you have? And I'm like, oh, this could be good. And I'm like, well, how about if I do something that'll get you in a little bit of trouble? And if not, I'll throw some tomatoes on stage to rile the audience up a little bit. And he started laughing. And I told him, I said, I would consider doing it. And I'm like, just to really put you in a tough spot. He was laughing. It was kind of good fun. But I don't know. I wish it would have been longer. It was like an hour and something. But I mean, if I'm being honest, I just like to listen to the back and forth a little bit about people's experiences as well as their different thoughts and ideas about things, you know? You know, so, and, you know, there might be some folks in here that practice that, you know, completely treatment, and that's great. You know, and it was kind of more or less just, hey, you know, if that works for you, that's really good. And, you know, I've said it before, I don't know, probably 1,000 times. I'm like, there isn't anybody sitting in this chat right now or sitting anybody here that wants to spend even a single penny on a treatment for a colony, right? But we all have our different strategies and they all might be slightly differing, and that's okay. You know, so I just like the diverse, you know, amount of ideas that people bring to the table. So
yeah, you and I touched on that when you were down here. We talked a little bit about that, but I think what's cool is with Ian being there, is, you know, Ian's hardcore commercial. He's going to drop everything he can in the hive to kill those mites. But if you talk to him, he'd be just like you said. He'd just soon not spend one dime on a treatment. And he talks, you know, and what people have to realize about Ian is that's not just Ian Stepler's farm. That's Stepler Farms. They have livestock. They do livestock and they do row crops. And they have to use pesticides and herbicides in their row crops because they're not a no-till operation. Or I think they are no-till, actually. And no-till, while everybody loves no-till because it preserves the topsoil, it's heavily chemical to do no-till. Yeah. So it's a trade-off, less diesel, but more chemical. And he's even said before, yeah, we need to get rid of neonics and that kind of thing. He said, but we can't just pull the rug out from under this side of the industry. And you can't just pull the rug out from under the beekeepers. We got to have solutions. And he's real big on that. So that would have been an interesting conversation to listen to.
Oh, yeah. And there wasn't any negativity up there. Not at all.
No, it shouldn't be. There shouldn't be. That should be.
And so I think that what was the guy in the middle again? What was his name?
Jason.
No, Jeff Lee.
Jim Lee was in on it. They said James Lee.
James Lee. He doesn't. He's a guy that kind of might play middle of the road, I guess, if I'm going to label him, where he will treat if he has to. But, you know, like, for instance, James Lee is kind of a hobbyist, I think, in the sense that he runs, what do you say, as many as 50 colonies, maybe? So. And then the other gentleman,
Michael Bush. Yeah,
Michael Bush had as many as what I think 100 colonies. And and then, of course, you know, for perspective anyway, then Ian runs what, 1,500?
About 1,500, yeah. About 1,500.
So, you know, and then so Ian will approach and so I will preface it with this. The other two guys actually have daytime jobs, and Ian Stepler's job is farming. That's their main. And he said beekeeping as kind of to offset some of his tax liability a little bit. And then it just kind of blossomed basically. And so now this is part of their business strategy. So like you said, Mike, they're farmers. So if it isn't just Ian Stepler as a farmer, it's his brothers as well. So, you know, even though I think Ian said before he manages the finances, he has two other guys that he has to answer to. He can't just do whatever he wants, however he wants, you know, because, you know, his brothers, even if they're beekeepers or not, if he's taking a loss and a huge loss, and he, you know, talks about, he's like, if you have $750,000 worth of bees in a shed, you know, he goes, it would be, you know, pretty irresponsible of me to just cold turkey this and have a huge loss, because that means the farm takes a huge loss. And I guarantee his brothers are going to, you know, hold him accountable.
Oh, yeah.
What happened here? What are we doing? And how do we change it? Because we're not going to accept this. You know, all those families have to eat. So I don't know. Again, it was interesting to hear it, you know, a little bit of forth.
Hey, Matt, I think we really enjoyed your fondant, man.
Did you hear that, Matt?
I don't think you heard me.
You owe $50 for advertising on tonight's live, Matt. You can just pay me cash in St. Louis.
Wake up, Matt. You there?
I think he's froze up. He can't even.
He can't hear me.
Yes. I think his wife drugged him.
Hey, Big Mike, I appreciate you taking your winter back. I finally got my pipes turned back on.
Yeah, you haven't had -10 and 18 either.
Yeah, you just sent me a little piece of it though, and that was enough.
I gave you some warm snow.
Yeah, that's fine.
We got snow. Oh, we got snow last Monday. Still in the driveway. Hasn't melted.
Are you back?
Hey, Tom.
Just the shade, but it's going to be gone tomorrow. The rest of it. Yeah.
All mine's gone.
Doesn't look it, Joey. Make me feel like I'm looking out back.
Yeah, It was crazy. I tell you that. That's about every 10 years we get something. And
Yeah.
you
It
know,
was so fun.
2008
It was so
is the
fun
bigger one
watching
for
you
us.
guys' videos too.
Oh yeah, it's like kids, man. We don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I tell you, that guy driving down that road, man, he's probably like, he's stupid Southerners. I'm like, yeah, watch and see. This stupid Southerner, we don't know how to take care of roads. I'm telling you, you're gonna be in
But,
trouble.
you know, a lot of people with airboats.
Yeah, that was cool.
Louisiana snowmobiles.
Yeah, I saw that one today.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Right.
So we had the Arkansas DOT came down and cleared our bridges. Man, they were shooting snow over them railings. They were running them plows. They ripped every single raised pavement marker off the road that we have.
How's everyone doing tonight?
All right.
I've been talking to you for 30 minutes there.
Yeah, we've been talking.
Really, I apologize. I've been
You
dealing with
owe,
quite a
$50
cold.
for advertising.
Oh
You
yeah,
hear me?
I can hear you. I
You
was
owe
talking
$50
over
for
you though.
advertising.
I didn't hear what you said.
Joe and the world famous Mike Burry has been bragging on your fondant. I say you owe me $50 for advertising.
Royalties in the mail, yes sir. Just like we talked about.
You can't be advertising on here for nothing.
Working like a charm. We got them right where we want them. No, that's awesome. That's exactly why I wanted to share it. Really, even the recipe, just because I take my beekeeping pretty serious. I spend a lot of time and effort in it, and anything that I can do to try to save money, so I can get all the other equipment that's necessary. Not just to grow, but just to sustain where you're at. And the fondant's really been paying off for us. I've been fortunate, and I went through all our yards today. Out of 70 hives we took in the winter. I'm thinking I've lost 8 so far, and those were really due to I had hives in double deeps that had no business being in a double deep. I just never really got into them late enough in the season to see that they were dwindling enough on population to cram them down. I tried to do that honorable thing and take them in. With so much honey above them, they went through that honey. It's our hives definitely went through some stores in December, I believe.
Ours too. Mine seemed to. Anyway, I had more. I know I didn't have but 2 or 3 light ones. I knew about them, but man, I think I count that. And I say light. They're not going to die. Like a lot of them, I don't have to put anything on, but they're a lot lighter than they were in November. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
So, but overall, I feel blessed. A lot of young queens, and can't wait for spring. We got a lot of splits to do, I'm sure. So I guess that's the goal, and just get them healthy coming out of winter. That's all anyone can hope for. So I apologize if I sound like I have Kleenex stuffed to my nose. At least you got me sick. So some sort of cold the kids have been having for the last couple of weeks. I thought for sure I'd steer clear of it, but evidently not. It caught me.
You can't be kissing those women when they're sick, Matt. Okay.
Oh, I know. It's that darn Sandy.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's Sandy. Stay away from her.
Yeah.
All right, wait, y'all
Your
got
wife will get jealous.
Okay, because y'all are messing me up with this Sandy thing.
No,
Because I thought his wife's name was Alicia, and then you're telling me Sandy, and I'm like, okay, now we're delving in ground we don't need to be in here. I got to go.
When I first started coming on the chats, I would get it. Sandy, it's Matt at Sandy Valley, but they would always say Matt and Sandy.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, Tom, I don't know if you heard it. Charlie corrected Bill the other night. He's like, it's not Matt and Sandy, it's Matt and Alicia. It's Matt and. What can you do?
Yeah.
I get called.
I see what you have your name at. I see what you have your name on there today, Matt with Sandy Valley Honey Company.
Is it different?
Yeah.
I was okay. Yeah, I didn't put the ad in there. Yeah, that'll make more sense to people.
That's not gonna work. We're gonna break the chair.
That's okay.
You guys are up in Wisconsin, Tom, Melissa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is way close.
That's right.
Yep.
Nice.
Waukesha. It's a suburb of Milwaukee.
Okay. Never been to Wisconsin myself.
Oh, it's nice. Nice
Me
place.
either.
Up
Not
there
right now, it's not. It's
politicking with those
cold.
cheese
I
heads
think
what
it's
they're
like-
done, Matt.
Politicking, JW?
Hey, they have some pretty good cheese curds.
Well,
Here, chocolate, please.
it's right here.
Oh yeah.
What, Matt?
I need to go back. My bottle is just about empty.
Hmm.
What's that from?
I don't know. I just picked it up at a farmer's market in Wisconsin when I was there.
Here.
Where's it from? Adamsville, Adrian. Barneville.
Barneveld?
Barnevide, Bill, D. I don't
Barneville.
know.
Western, the
Somebody
low
find out what it's
county
at.
bird. That's the wide place in the road, Joey.
Joey, that bottle's about as empty as
Yes.
Jade's bourbon honey. It's about replacement for a refill too, just like that.
Russell Koopman. Yeah, we met Minnesota Mike today. Maybe Tritone was who he was with.
I don't know. He was with somebody.
He was
didn't
with somebody
say.
else, but I didn't catch his name.
He was trying to. He was messing with me actually today. I was on the phone with talking to somebody about doing some video work at our conference, and he comes up to me, and I seen him waving at me from a distance. But I have like this single track mind. I can't focus on two things at one time. I get really screwed up. So I seen him, but I didn't. And then he comes over and starts talking to me, and I told him like, "Hey man, I'm on the phone." and then he's like, "Oh yeah, no problem." I'm like, "What's up with this?" So then later on, he goes, "Oh yeah, I was messing with you." And I'm like, he goes, "Yeah, I've seen about going through your backpack." And I'm like, "Yeah, probably not a good idea." And I'm like, I didn't know who you were because I never met you before. Anyway, it was fun. We had a great conversation for a while and stuff. So Melissa and I went to this place,
Here, move your-
Honey Acres, and we got we actually dropped off some these chocolate patties. They gave us 3 different kinds. Anxious to try these out. But we dropped off 2 buckets of honey up here to and we got all different kinds of there's a honey dill mustard that they gave us. Here's some orange blossom, which I'm anxious to try that. We dropped off 2 buckets of honey up there to have fill straws for us and do that for us so we don't have to do our own straws. There's a cinnamon.
But they
Basswood.
they fill the straws with your honey, and then they also put them in packaging that has your logo and wording on it, all your information.
Cinnamon apple, and then just a straight clover. And then of course, this is kind of what they do is honey straws. But so I wanted to get a few things to sample and take back honey tasting, and the guy handed me a bag and said, "Here, just take it." So anyway, pretty cool place that they have up here. So if anybody's ever looking to have their honey turned into a product, they do a lot of that as far as making straws and doing other things as well. So really cool place. I wish I would see it whenever it's not so much snow on the ground, which actually I guess
They
it
have
wasn't bad.
they have like a honey museum attached to them too.
Yeah, Honey
like-
Acres does have that.
They're like, what did he say, 3rd or was it 5th generation honey beekeepers or something?
5th or 6th, but they actually don't keep bees anymore. They just buy honey. I'm like, "Oh, so you're a packer?" And he's like, "Well, no, not really." And I'm like, I'm not fully understanding. If you take other people's honey and you're making products and stuff, he's like, "Well, we just kind of do value adds." And I'm like, "Okay, I got it."
So they don't sell other people's runny honey, but they turn it into their creamed honeys and things
Well,
like
technically
that.
they do.
Well,
because
they
just-
do sell like specialty runny honeys, I guess.
Right.
Did
I
you have
don't know.
any,
It's kind of a cool place to visit.
Where's it at? It's in Waukesha there or where?
Right
No.
outside, like a half hour outside of.
Yeah, it's about.
And actually, we heard about this place from the Summers from.
It's in Neosho, which is just
I know where
outside
Neosho-
of Waukesha.
I know where that's
Yeah,
at.
it's not far
Been through
away.
there.
We actually heard of them from Don Summers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, it's a
And
Neil
what did
show,
what did you
Missouri
figure
too.
up? Yeah.
Yeah.
If we would have had to ship honey up here and back, it probably would have cost us like about 11 cents a straw. Is what we figured, something like that.
No.
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 What was it?
It was like a cent or two. It wasn't much. That's I was thinking all in.
Oh.
I was doing the math on
But to
what
have
it
them
would
do all
cost
this-
to ship the buckets up here and then have them filled. And I want them put in individual wrappers with our logo on them and stuff like that. And then when we got the invite to come up here to the conference, the Midwest Honeybee Expo, that's when it was kind of a last minute decision for us to come up here and to do that. So I only had to drive 20 minutes from the location where we were staying at to drop off the buckets of honey. So it kind of made sense to make the trip. So it was kind of last minute, but it's been a pretty fun experience so far.
But to have the straws made with shipping, what's it going to cost?
Well, it kind of depends on what people were going to do. So I don't want to quote a price.
Yeah.
It'd be different. So
That's true. Yeah.
they probably need to look that up. So if anybody's looking to have straws made or buy bulk straws from somebody, you can look up Honey Acres, Neosho, Wisconsin. So they have a website and they produce them.
I have a question about the candle making. How do you determine how much to get for a candle? Because each one's so much wax.
We charge I try to charge per ounce. And a minimum per ounce. So, but like our smallest candle is $5 and it's not even, I don't know, not even 2 ounces.
Mike, I would say that question
really
is really variable.
Well, I mean, I bought a bunch of molds,
Mm-hmm.
and some of them take almost 9 ounces versus the small ones.
So when I sell just like the little 1 ounce bars, 1 ounce of it, we sell those for $2 an ounce. So then I base my candle prices kind of like off that base price.
But I'll say that the wax is already cleaned and it's really clean. It's prepped. It doesn't need to be filtered down anymore. So that's ready to use wax.
Well, this is my own wax.
Yeah. So we charge basically $2 an ounce. And then, so a 9 ounce candle would be like $18.
We found that a lot of the smaller ones tend to do better than the really large ones. That's why we'd go out and buy a couple different candle molds and see how well they do. And we had a few of them that do really well. She went out and bought like 3 different molds of them. So when we pour them, we can pour multiple molds at one time, heat up the wax, pour them and go from there. And that's kind of partly why we had purchased that small wax melter. It's similar to the one Brian was showing the other day. It's a small investment, but I think if you're looking to, if you do any kind of volume with them, you're trying to save some time, so and just streamline the operation just a little bit. And this is still pretty small scale, honestly, but if you can save, I would ask her, how much time do you have in pouring all these candles? And you kind of figure out your time based on the product that the raw product you're using and what you want to get for that, and kind of base your price off of that. But then I would also say it kind of depends too on, what your market will bear.
Jonathan, that's where we get a lot of our molds from, is Beelight also.
Yeah, I got some from Beelight.
Yeah, they do nice stuff.
I've got about 25 now, but I haven't poured a candle yet.
Starting your collection
Some of them are a
first.
pain to pour. I'll tell you what, but
Yes, they are.
I could not keep the candles on the shelf.
They're easy to pour. They're just a pain to get out of the mold. Yeah, candles.
Beelight will also make a mold for you if you got a figurine or something. They'll make a mold for you.
Mm-hmm.
There was people around that booth the whole expo. You know it. At Beelight, it was big.
Yeah.
I think I bought a dozen or so from them. I pre-ordered. Then I walked up to them. I told them I could be the stupidest candle maker they've ever met. And they started laughing. They said, "Why?" I said, "I didn't get any wicks."
You can get those on Amazon.
Oh, I bought a bag of them while I was there.
Yeah.
Oh.
I also didn't buy the needle to thread them through the.
Yeah, I use a crochet needle as what I use. Not a crochet needle, but just a really thick, blunt sewing needle is what I use. I guess maybe it is a crochet needle. Anyway, those candle bolts are so darn expensive, though, man. Whew.
Some of them can be. Hey, Mike, the first time we met, the guys from Beelight were actually at the conference in Slidell, not in 24, but 23, September 23, when we were down there with you guys. That's when we first met the guys from Beelight, actually.
I met him in Louisiana and did a video on him, and he said that video really did really good for them, and they were very, very pleased with it. So I meant to do another one for them, and I didn't. But I got to order some candles from them, so I'm hoping to put them back in. But they did pretty good in Louisiana, that I could tell. They were right across from Hillco, so I was talking with the man, and I just shot the video on a fluke for them. It wasn't even for me. They wanted one for the website. But when I got home, I looked at it. The audio was awful. And I'm like, oh, man, they're not going to use that. So I just dubbed in a whole bunch of captions and shot it out there. And, man, they went crazy, man. They were really pleased with it. And, I think what intrigued me about it was the fact that they can make molds.
Small family business there.
Yeah. If I have a figurine, I can send it to her and she'll make one. I'm like, wow, really? You don't find that, anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. We were trying to find one ourselves that we would have them to make. Oh no, I'm sorry.
Dancing Bee was doing that at the workshop.
I'm sorry, I'm confusing them and Dancing Bee. But remember that, Mike? Dancing Bee had where if you bring them a figurine or some type of a small little, something that you want to have a negative cast for, that they would make you a candle mold based on what you would bring them. And I told Melissa, and they were doing it for a really reasonable cost, like $20. And I told Melissa, I'm like, you need to find something around here that would be really catchy and cool, and have, one or a couple molds made. I'm like, I think it'd be well worth it. And we tried searching a few different things and kind of came up empty, but we were also busy right before that, right before we left too. So we didn't focus a lot of time on it.
I got a question for you, Tom. Was you able to get any hickory honey from that outfit up there in Wisconsin?
Hickory honey?
No,
No,
I didn't look for it.
We got hickory syrup.
That's right. We got hickory syrup. You want to try that?
No, I want some. Surely if you got hickory syrup, you can get some hickory honey too.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Hey, let's buy some honey and tell them it's hickory syrup. Yep, I'll get it for you. No problem.
How's everything up there, Big Mike?
Oh, it's been cold. I had between my apiaries, the other morning it was between all of them minus 18 to minus 4.
Wow. That's cold.
Too cold to snow.
Yeah.
Too cold to snow. Oh.
Yeah.
I think
The
you
snow
guys
doesn't
have more
even like it. It's so cold.
No. So, Mike, will they make a mold like out of something that's wooden, or does it matter?
Yeah. No, she said she'll make a mold out about anything.
Because I make I hand carve stuff.
Oh yeah.
Christmas tree.
Mm-hmm. She'll make a mold like that.
Well, this would be a really nice Christmas tree.
Give Emily a call. She's the one that does it.
All right.
Yep.
And then there was the COVID year. Where is it?
Oh, you gotta go up higher.
I make them for my nieces every year for Christmas.
Oh, I got you.
That's fun.
Well, I'm gonna leave this with y'all guys. I got to roll. I'm been working. I've been up since early morning. I had to go to work today, but I got to answer some YouTube comments and then get to bed. So
You take care, Mike.
Night, Mike.
All right, you guys take care. We'll see y'all
See you later.
on the next one.
Be talking
See
to
ya.
you. Hey,
Yeah, hey, I'll give you a call, Joey, about what we're going to do. I'm thinking
All
we'll
right.
just meet over here, and Jeff is coming, so he might can meet at your house.
okay.
All right, then.
All right.
Good night.
See you later.
JW, I hear you're delivering honey these days. I might be up for a couple bottles.
Well, you didn't read the whole post that I made. 10-mile radius.
I'm within 10 miles of myself.
Okay, that'll work then. I may have to email it to you, but my email work?
Probably.
Yeah, okay, that's what I usually do. I email most of that long distance stuff when it comes to honey.
No, I saw Tom had already commented on it, so
Well, I had to. The weather got rough, and I had to take my outdoor table farm market and put it inside. But I've been getting several calls. People want it. That's the reason I made.
It's gonna get warmer next week.
It's supposed to be a couple of days, and then it's supposed to cool down again. Then in the long range forecast, I'm not talking for any more bitter cold weather here.
Thank
Thank
God.
God.
Yeah, it looks like it's on the warm up trend. I don't know. It's almost, you almost don't want to pay too much attention to it or put too much validity in it, but
yeah, we might hit 28 tomorrow.
Ooh, heat wave.
it almost seems like our high temperatures are almost getting replaced by our low temperatures. You know, or some of our lows are just barely getting into freezing now, soaring up into the 40s. A couple days in the 50s, I thought I saw on the extended forecast.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's been so cold in St. Louis for that long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we still have snow that hasn't melted from Nobby yet, or since after the New Year, that first storm. Not a bunch, but in any shadow or
Shade of trees and stuff. Mine's still on, or if it's packed down where you drove over it or something, without cleaning it off, it's still it's solid ice, so it's gonna take a day or two for that to melt.
That's one thing I learned. We have 4 yards altogether, and 2 of the yards I'm pretty much forced to in this inclement weather, having to park and hump it in, which is fine. I don't mind walking. But when one of them has, I think, 15 hives there, maybe 16 at one of those out yards, and carrying fondant up to them, or really anything. In this instance, there's a couple dead outs there. I'll have to somehow get that equipment off here pretty soon before these 40s. I just want to conserve the comb and freeze it and get ready for splits. But choosing out yards, I would almost go at the worst possible weather you could and just make sure you can still get into it, because I had one of the owners I had to contact and just let him know, I was like, look, I drive a fairly big truck, but I'm gonna climb that hill. If I got equipment, I'm going to get it. I'm not gonna throw a 10-frame box on my shoulder and walk it out. So I never would have thought I would have had much of an issue getting into one of those, to be honest. But that wet, soppy mud, after the snow melt, I'll be in 4-wheel drive, but I'll probably have to climb that hill about 20 miles an hour anyway. But
yeah, now that it's warming up, Matt, we're gonna be complaining about all the mud and mess then,
I know. It's all right. I'd rather
another month and a half before you'll hear that from me.
I'm 34 for 34 here at the farm. Tom, I was in them all today.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Oh really?
Wow.
Yep, 100% so far. I'm not guaranteed that's going to be the end result, but I've still got to go down there to that other bunch, down there where my mentee is.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's the last half of February, the first half of March. That's the real test.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we start getting those flip-flop temps.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's this last cold snap we had that was a little bit more extended, and I don't know, there's a lot of the people on the chat don't know our weather like we do, JW, Tom, and Melissa, just because we're so close. But that last cold snap definitely took out at least 2 of the hives that I came across today, because there was bees in there before, and now there's just a little softball cluster size, and they just didn't have the thermal mass to make it happen in that last cold snap.
Yeah. Yeah, I only poked into a couple of my hives one day, this last week when it warmed up to like 35. I went in and popped some lids off and looked in there under the feeders just for curiosity's sake. And I know there was, I don't remember how many I had back there, 10, maybe 11, 12. And there was 2 of them that looked like they were dead, probably small clusters or something. So I just put them back together and left them alone. But I'm planning on getting in all the hives here this next week with the warmer temperatures that we're going to be experiencing in the 40s. So I'm going to open them all up and check them out and see what's going on. Add any necessary feed that you might need, and treat them with oxalic acid vapor.
You know, it's interesting. Those small, like I'm talking about, the ones that I did come across, there's 2 of them there. And they really seem like the whole front half of the comb towards the entrance. Now this is facing south, so it would get the majority of the sun on the box. I don't insulate any of the outside of the walls, but half of that frame was completely eaten out. The other half was solid honey, you know. So we're talking the length of the frame now. And I'm not, I don't know what I could have done better. I'm trying to learn something from each one of those situations. You know, is a small cluster. You know, some things we're not going to know, right? We may have taken a colony out. But it was just interesting that they had fondant above them, and they're right up next to whatever they could get for food. But there just must not have been enough bees in there. But it was interesting to me to see the frame that I did pull up to, that whole half of that deep comb was basically just raw comb, nothing on, none, any cells, just on the front half of the box. You'd almost think the front half being, it's a condensing hive, so just a bottom entrance, but you'd think that front half may be the warmer side versus, I don't know, the convection and the currents of the air in there. Really, I guess maybe the front side of that box, south facing, was the warmest. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. So that's the side that they had eaten the honey from, is on the south side?
Basically, yep. Both of those little colonies that were dead outs, they had that top deep eaten up all the way, the front half of the comb, basically in the center frames 3 to 7 were basically bare of any resources, which I found interesting. Because it's, just on the other side of the comb, it's almost packed full of honey still.
Well, smaller the cluster, the harder it is for them to move.
Yeah. Yep.
There was one guy. Go ahead.
I tried to take all my small ones this year and throw them in my licensed polyhives, and they seem to be doing much better that way.
Yeah.
Not even bothering trying to boost them or combine them. Just put them in.
Yeah, and it's one of our out yards. It's at a garden preserve. I have some of those. They're singles, and they're all smaller singles. But I have some of those in triple stacks with 2 double screen boards, so 3 hives per stack. And some of those on the top I used as mating nukes all the way. Those queens would have been. I hatched them in the incubator the end of August, August 26th. So I had no business trying to make queens that late in the year. No business, right? I mean, it's how are they going to mate too well? Those little mating nukes are just exploding. I mean, they're just doing. I don't want to say they're doing as good as any of the bigger hives, but they are ample for their size. They're little power packs. I'm kind of excited to see what they do this year because the fact that they made it over winter is a miracle. But they're not just making it, I guess I should say. Like, they were coming out in pretty good force today, and it was just in the low 40s. I was just one of those yards. I just wanted to go and do an observation walkthrough, see how many bees we had coming out of entrances, cleaning up, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
there was a guy here. I saw it today on one of the Missouri Facebook groups, beekeeping groups. He posted that he came across a picture, or didn't come across a picture. Took a picture of a drone he came across.
Wow.
Where in the heck did a drone come from? We're not ready for drones yet.
I'm certain that it wasn't reared, that he probably was overwintering with them,
Yeah.
Which would
make Big Hive will keep some. Big Hive will keep some around all winter. I've had them up here, and I've seen them in February.
Yeah, I know the last drone that I saw in our colonies was maybe in the end of October, beginning of November.
We had a lot of drones late in the year. That's one of the reasons why I even messed around with that late last mating round, just because I knew how many drones I still had in my hive. So whatever was else out there for us to mate with, that's why I pushed that envelope. But yeah, I mean,
So
a healthy hive, if they can take care of the food stores that a drone's going to eat off it, that's a sign of a real healthy hive.
We had an awful
Garrett,
drought
yours,
and coming out of the end of the summer. I didn't see as many drones as there should have been. I think they were kicking them out real early this year. They
Maybe
had no food.
Well, I know
Yeah.
in our area had a pretty late flow this year, which probably revved them up a little bit. That's actually when we produce the most honey, I feel like, is later in the season.
Did that fix the issue?
Hey, Matt, do you have any agriculture around your colonies besides the vineyard area there?
Oh, yeah. The vineyard really isn't any kind of forage source for them at all. It's matter of fact, I wish they wouldn't fly near those vines, just because of the way they spray around them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
Look,
there's the sick one. Hey, Alicia, why you getting my buddy Matt all sick and flued up?
I know. Looks like I got a tan in here with his big shining light. He's got instant tan.
I know, Matt. She's been out in the luxury, doing the luxury stuff and tanning and stuff, and poor Matt's been sick at home. Golly.
Yep. I got the sniffles, and she goes to the beach.
What? I haven't been.
Oh my gosh. Jeez.
Okay, I'm gonna get on the chat.
Hey, Michael, do you need us to send some honey down to your room for your throat?
Yeah, we have some honey here. We can send you a bottle down, bud.
Hardball whiskey.
Oh, whiskey. Yeah.
I don't know. Did you bring any of that bourbon honey up here? I didn't think you did.
I don't think so. I did bring some bottles of honey from home. So if Mike, you want one, I'll bring you one down.
I got some of this.
Ooh, there you go.
It'll burn it out.
That bearded.
That
hot honey.
Was that mango hot honey, Joey? Is that
No,
what that said? Mango hot honey?
Let's see what it was. Yeah, peach mango.
Oh, you know what? I forgot to pick up my soda today.
It'll be there tomorrow.
Oh, man. Hey, Joey, I got busy talking. Wait, no. I'm going to reword that.
What?
Melissa,
Really?
Melissa got busy talking today. That's what I meant to say. And yeah, I forgot to go pick up my honey soda. I got some from the gal from Yes Honey, and it smell was pretty good.
What flavor did you get, berry?
I got berry. She has like 6 different flavors of like a soda.
She's working on a ginger ale.
Yep. And I forgot to go pick it back up. Well, it should be there tomorrow. No honey required. So Matt, it sounded like Alicia's got us a party room all set and ready to go. So yeah. we need Joey to get his plane ticket ready. Old Big Mike there, get his plane ticket ready, and come on down.
Oh, for your
the EMBA works it, yeah.
Well, Mike would have to come on down. Joey would have to come on up if we're talking north-south.
Yep. I mean, I could, we can set up a designated meeting area. I'll drive and help shuttle anyone that wants to. We get enough people to go to a certain place. I'll come. Joey and Mike Berry want to come up. I'll drive wherever they want me to pick them up.
What are you going to pick them up in? Just curious.
How about Franklinton, Louisiana? What do you think about that, Matt, for a pickup?
I'm ready. I'm just right off 55, so
Hey, Matt, what car are you going to take to come pick them up in, huh?
What's that, buddy?
I said, what car are you going to come pick them up in?
I'm not sure yet. Not my work truck.
He'd be driving a big Jew canoe. He'd be.
I was waiting to hear what Jason
It might
Hey,
be.
Matt, that's what I was waiting for you to say, and you wouldn't say it.
I didn't know. I didn't want to get Joey in trouble on this. I don't talk like that.
Yeah. Now, hey, Matt. So we know who has the diarrhea mouth over there, off to this side over here. That fella.
Diarrhea mouth, that's what they call them.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was hilarious. I never heard it called that before.
Ghetto glider.
Cadillacs and them big Lincoln Town cars is Jucanoos.
Ghetto glider.
Yeah.
We went. I'll have to tell the story now. So we were at Nobby. We went out to dinner one night at a Cuban restaurant, and it was in town. So there's all three of us driving. We're all going to the same place. So Tom, Melissa, and JW hopped in with Alicia and I. And she drives an Escalade, and as soon as JW saw that white Escalade out there, that's what he said. He said, I didn't want to say it. It just sounds derogatory, but it's pretty funny just because, But yeah, that's where that.
He says that out of love.
I know he does.
He says it out of love, right, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No offense taken. I'm pretty thick-skinned over here on the clean side.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I got you. Clean side. Yep.
Clean side of the river.
You guys got to get over that being politically correct all the time. Just tell it like it is.
So, JW, you want to know who I talked to up here for a little bit?
Why, the world. Anybody ever rock in between here and there?
Probably. There's one person in particular that lives about 15 miles from you.
Oh, was it Charlie up there?
Yeah, he was here. He was walking in the door, and I grabbed his arm, and he goes, "Oh, hey!" And at first, I don't think he even recognized me, and then it clicked because I've talked to him about 3 or 4 times since then, and and I said, "Hey," I'm like, "I didn't realize you're going to be up here," and he says, "Yeah," and so I said to him, "I'm like, yeah," I said, "Our mutual buddy's going to be down to visit you to pick up those pro nukes that you're going to be donating," and he goes, "Well, actually," he goes, "come talk to me tomorrow." He goes, "He may not have to," and I'm like, "No." He goes, he actually has a booth set up here, and he goes, "Well, let me see what I have left." He goes, "If I have them left, just take them," and I'm like, "Okay." So
yeah, that'd be great. That way I won't have to listen to him. I can't believe that you two got together and you're not still talking.
It was a fairly quick conversation. I think he was headed to a talk or something like that, so he couldn't stay. So it kind of worked out.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
that's always a half a day deal if you go there. I can tell you that. Maybe more.
Yeah, he talks more than Melissa.
It's funny when you're going to talk to someone who's just gonna wear you out and talk to you. You go anyway, just knowing that maybe I'll just get this right this right thing to say at the right time to be able to sneak away, but it never works. You're always stuck you're stuck just like you think you were every time.
Hey Matt, that's basically you and I every time we get together.
Yeah.
Don't get any work done.
I know it. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, Mr. Bruce.
What's up, guys?
What's up, Bruce?
Guys? Thought I'd check in for a few minutes. I don't know how you guys do it every night. It's crazy.
We don't have a life.
Well, yeah, you do. I'm sure you do. but I just one night and then maybe another one sometime during the week about does me in. But I thought I'd hop on for a couple minutes. Somebody suggested I do so I thought I would. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing well.
Good.
Very well, thank you.
Joey, you survived the snow. Has it melted off over there?
It's gone. I got a little spot about that big in the backyard where the sun never shines.
Yeah, man, that was something. We still have a few patches around here, but it's just going to be gone pretty quick as well. All you guys up north, it's like we're down here in the south. We're like kids in a playground.
Oh,
down
it's
here
so much fun watching you guys.
Yeah.
We just it's I lived in Utah for a while, and so I they call Utah's nickname is the greatest snow on earth. So there's snow out there for sure, but down here it's just a bit out there. This kind of snow, a 6-inch snow would have been just like, oh well, just not a big deal. But down here it was pretty precarious. They don't have the stuff to clean the roads and keep them dry or whatever, and it kind of it's interesting how I never noticed before how it is in the shade. Hey Dodd House, hey, how you doing? Hey Eddie, glad to see you on here tonight. Highland Honey. Awesome. But yeah, it's the next morning, even it was really cold. It was still only like 25 degrees outside, and in our neighborhood, when the sun hit the roads with the black asphalt, they started to melt. And so I was able to make it into work. I went in a little bit late that morning, like about 10:30, 11 o'clock, and it was a little precarious, but wherever there was shade, it just didn't melt. So I drove up to my mom's house today. I actually had to clean out the bee bay up there where I keep all my bee stuff. And even up going to her house this afternoon, it was probably around 50 degrees. And in some of the shaded areas that never got any sun, it was still a little bit slushy. But yeah, it's basically melted off on the roads here a little bit, still in the yards, but it's melting off very quickly. We're going to be in the 60s here in the next couple of days. So I had to clean out the bee shed though, because I got Greg coming down. He's bringing a big load of a bunch of his boxes and equipment down. Mike Berry's coming up, I think, to get a load, and Brian Lee's coming down from Birmingham. And we have a lot of people. Are you coming over, Joey?
Yeah.
I see you waving. You're coming over?
Yeah.
All right, man. I didn't realize that. You're coming over to get to. So yeah, if Joey's coming, I got to get the bee bay cleaned up. I got to make it look presentable. But my wife and I spend the afternoon up there cleaning up all the boxes in the crazy. I don't know if you guys do this or not, but during the season, I try to start off each year with everything pretty organized. And by the end of the year, it's kind of just stuff everywhere because I get in a hurry. By the end of the day, I'm tired and I just kind of throw stuff in there and it's all unorganized. And so we got a bunch of stuff cleaned out of there, got it straightened up. So it's at least presentable now. But I didn't know you were coming, Joe. Are you picking up some boxes as well?
Yep.
Great deal, man. That's
I'm going to be riding with Mike.
Oh, that'll be awesome. That'll be a lot of fun. I think what we're going to try to do is have everybody kind of come. I'm not sure. Greg will be sending out, I guess, a pin for everybody. It's going to be at the farm, at the farm up there where I keep my equipment and the farm where I grew up. And then we're going to, I guess, unload or get loaded up or do something. And then we'll maybe go out to eat that evening, have fun, kind of get together and have a dinner. And so it'll be kind of neat to just kind of hang out with everybody that comes over. I know we got you guys coming over. Then we have Brian Lee's coming down, I think, from Birmingham. Toby Reeder's coming. He's about an hour north of here. And then I'm not sure who else is coming over, but I have a pretty good little crew. I don't know if Lisa's coming down or she got all her stuff at Nobby. I'm not sure. She might have already gotten her stuff, but she may come down and join us as well. Maybe Lynn Hughes might come down. I'm not sure who else coming, but I think he's got quite the trailer or truckload coming. So it should be pretty cool. I'm going to get a skid of 70 boxes and then the frames to go in those. So I actually have 2 pallets of stuff coming. I spent a lot of money, but it should last me for a while. But have any of you guys tried any of Greg's stuff at all? Have y'all had a chance to try any of his equipment out?
Bruce, I had that thought. I actually thought about Greg Burns today, going through a couple of our yards and looking at some of the, I guess it's the drier air or whatever, some of the shrinkage that's going on some of those boxes. I mean, most of my boxes are all painted. Some of them are the Hoover hives, the wax sprayed, let's call it. And I'm sitting there looking at some of the separation in some of these boxes and some of the cracks that have developed. And I'm just thinking some of these boxes aren't even a year old. I mean, it's so putting. Mm-hmm. I remember just hearing cry once or buy once, cry once. I'm thinking I was like, man, I'm not just gonna get a box and just throw it out here and get, it's gonna be either wax dipped or I'm gonna have to get something that's gonna maintain its life, because replacing boxes every year or two is just not going to cut the cheese. Not at all.
Yeah. I've had boxes now. I've been doing this for, I guess, 12 years now. And, I've had all kinds of boxes. We've had just boxes I built myself, that I put together and painted. I've had boxes I got from Man Lake that I put together, boxes, and then we actually, a friend of mine and myself a few years back, wax dip. He created a wax dipping tank and he ordered some wax paraffin mixture, microcrystalline paraffin mixture, and we dipped them in those boxes. Actually have not rotted at all. That was probably 4 years ago now, but that wasn't even anywhere near the formula Greg has. We were just trying to figure it out. We had all kinds of problems with foam and just, I guess, the water as it was pressed out of the boxes. We got it done, but it was quite the adventure. So there's quite an art to it, I think, and people that do it and know what they're doing are really good at it. But these boxes Greg has, the standard EnduraHive boxes are just phenomenal, especially if you get those premier boxes, the pure boxes. But then now he's got these copper dipped and wax dipped boxes. And I don't know if you guys saw them. Whoever was at the conference, man, they are just absolutely beautiful. And those things will last a lifetime, I think. That's, the EnduraHive standard wax dipped, I think, with his microcrystalline formula, I think they'll probably last 20, 25 years maybe. But those with the copper in them, they'll last, a lifetime, I think. Yeah, they're beautiful. I think if you set those in the edge of some wood somewhere, they're also kind of like almost camouflage. They're just a beautiful kind of a dark, kind of a green color, almost like a camo type color. They're beautiful. Anyway, I didn't know if you guys had those or not. I'm going to try them. I've got like one setup of Greg's boxes, like one hive's worth of the EnduraHive Propola boxes. And I've only had it for a year, so I can't really speak to the longevity. The truth is, I mean, it's only been out, the product's only been out for a couple of years now. So, but just the principle behind it, they should last forever. Even those old kind of wax tipped ones we tried to figure out are not even breaking down at all. Whereas I'll have my painted boxes and they'll just start breaking down within a year or two. Like you were saying, Matt, they'll just start breaking down quickly. Of course I probably didn't paint them. I've got some painted boxes that lasted much longer that I probably just did a better job of painting, but they're just so beautiful and cool. And so I spent some money, and my goal is to just, like you said, Matt, just buy once, cry once, or whoever said that. I think that was you, Matt, wasn't it? Buy once, cry once. And then, so as my other boxes rot, I plan to replace them with these EnduraHive boxes, and hopefully down the road within a few years, I'll end up with mostly, if not all, EnduraHive boxes. And I haven't gotten any honey supers. I've got plenty of honey supers, but a lot of my deeps are starting to break down pretty hard. So that's what I'm doing. So Mike, where are you located at?
New Hampshire.
Okay, New Hampshire. I bet our snow down here, you probably were laughing at me if you were able to see.
I was watching you guys' videos and just smiling, watching the kids play in the snow.
Oh yeah, I didn't have it's just kind of funny. I work with a lot of younger people that have kids still at home, and man, they just have been the stuff they've been posting on social media. Joy, I'm sure you've seen the same thing. All you guys have probably seen that from the South. Just people it's interesting because someone made a point. I can't remember who it was, or maybe they just reposted something for somebody that, this crazy world that we have, and all the negativity, all the bashing, all the social media, just all the stuff that goes on, all the fighting that goes on. For just a day or two here in the South, it's like everybody forgot about all that stuff. You could hear people out in the backyard playing with their kids, just having a blast. You see the videos of people, dragging themselves on inner tubes out there in the snow with their four-wheelers and Rangers and utility vehicles, and just absolutely having it. Everything got quiet when it snowed. Everything slowed way down, and then you could just see the joy of it. Now, I promise that down here, just like anywhere else, probably in New Hampshire or Utah or anywhere else that if it settled in for a month, people would be tired of it, but you get 2 days of it, and this is pretty cool.
It's the same thing up here. Every first snow, the kids are out playing.
Yeah.
The kids next door made a little hill and slid. The lot's almost flat. Next thing you know, I see sleds going by my window.
Well, snow is a lot of fun for sure.
This is the first time I've ever seen snow this dry down here.
Yeah,
it's dry. You couldn't even make a snowball out of it.
Oh, that is odd for down there.
A lot of people. The first day I think tried to make snowman, and they couldn't do it because it was so powdery.
Yeah.
But then now, like a day after it started to melt a little bit and it got more wet, I mean, our snowman wasn't pretty, but we made a little snowman. Some of my neighbors made some impressive snowmans. Once it started to get a little bit more,
they must look funny with grass sticking out of them.
Yeah, actually, they kind of do. Just dry grass. They do. JW, what's going on up there, man? Tell me are you from Illinois? Is that where you're from? I remember you've told me a couple times.
Just across the river over at Blakely.
Oh, are you here? Are you in town now?
No.
Okay. I know you've got a southern place here, but where do you stay most of the time?
Southern Illinois.
Illinois, that's right.
Southeast of St. Louis, about 150 miles.
Yeah.
So, Bruce, I have a question for you. How did your Michael Palmer's ever work out?
Well, that's they didn't do well, but it wasn't their fault. It was my fault. I put those queens in a very difficult situation. I did those late season splits. It was in August, and I ordered 30 of them, which was probably too many. My goal was to get that Ozark bee yard tamed down because they were just wild up there. So I basically split everything hard in mid-August, I think it was, early to mid-August. It was hot and humid, and I broke them down to I really split them hard, and I just split everything in the same bee yard, and just kind of really the idea was to humble them, which I humbled them right into the grave. I mean, I basically killed them. They did okay for a little while. I just tried to pour. I thought if I poured the food to them, that they would do okay, that they would do fine, that they would build back up. There was plenty of time before winter. But man, they just kind of got shocked. They got shocked so hard, the bees did, that they just kind of fizzled out. And I don't think any of those Michael Palmer queens are still alive. One of them made it. One of them actually did really well this year. Out of 30, one of them did real good, made a lot of honey, and they were perfectly calm, wonderful bees. But those are the ones when I was showing this time last year when I was having the hive beetle issues, those are the ones I was having the beetle issues. And you could tell the hives were just kind of weak. They weren't real strong. For some reason, they stopped eating. It was kind of weird. About a month into the process, probably September, October, they needed food because there was nothing coming in. There may have been a little goldenrod coming in, but even into the winter, they just wouldn't take food, wouldn't take syrup at all. And so it was really the strangest thing. And they just wouldn't grow. They wouldn't take syrup. They wouldn't do much. And then I actually got a little concerned about it. And the bee inspector went up there and he did a study on them. They had some nosema problems, I think. So it wasn't, I talked to Ian about it and he said that the spore counts I got were nothing. He wouldn't even be worried about it. But, I think when they get something wrong with their gut, then they, just like us, they don't want to eat. And they just kind of, what ended up happening to them was as the bees kind of fizzled down and got sick, the hive beetles got in there, which is really strange in the wintertime to have a hive beetle problem. You see a few in the hives. They just never completely go away, but
we don't have hive beetles up here.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
Count yourself
when the
lucky.
packages come up from down south.
Yeah, but they probably don't survive. They probably don't do well.
They don't do very well in the
But
winter.
I've never had that kind of issue. I got that, the bug farmer guy, he sent me a little bee vac thing or a beetle vac thing that I used, and they just didn't do well, but it was my fault. I really think they would do just fine. I know Cayman uses those. That's how he got his operation calmed down a lot, and his did fine up there in Tennessee, and they would have done fine here if I would have gotten them earlier. My problem is I really need queens earlier in the year. I need them in, March, April, ideally. And Michael isn't selling. He doesn't have queens available until July or August. And so
he doesn't even start till mid-May getting his cell builder going.
Is that what you run? Do you run his queens? I see the question.
Yeah, I get queens from him every year. I actually have been up a few times and helped him out. That's
awesome, man.
I don't
would
know
love
if the
to do
waiting
that.
list for Michael Palmer, someone had put up. He's hard to get him from, and it's different buying queens from him. I don't know. Did he send you a bill?
Yeah, he did. He sent me the queens, and he sent me a bill.
You order them, and he says he's going to send them, and then you try to figure out how you're going to pay for them, and then you can't find any place to pay him.
No, he just sends you a bill.
It's not like putting your credit card out like everybody else wants all their money.
He just does. He does it the old-fashioned way. It's the old-fashioned way.
Bill,
yep.
And you send him a check.
That's right. And I got the way I got hooked in with him is I was talking to Cayman one night, and Cayman kind of helped grease the skids on that and kind of got that taken care of for me. I'm really kind of it's a little bit embarrassing to me that I did that. It was, you expect to have some loss when you order queens from people because especially if it's a difficult time of year, but you don't expect to have the type of.
And also, was it your first time ever using push-in cages?
It was, and I think
some of those
wrong.
I watched what you did. It was kind of improper.
I know
you didn't have the feed or the emerging brood that you needed in some of them, so they really didn't.
And I also put the attendants in there with them, which they say not to do that too. Which I thought that was what you wanted to do, and I was wrong. I know Michael gets the attendants out, doesn't he, before he puts them in? So that was another. But there's still a lot of them were accepted. They seemed to be doing fine. There were a few that weren't, but most of them seemed to actually be in the hives and doing okay. But
They are a gentle bee, though. They're very good tempered bees.
Yeah, they were the one that, and there were more that kind of survived, I think, but that one really just exploded, made a lot of honey, and they were super calm. They were just, the roll over and scratch your belly type of bees. I really was happy with them, but I wish I might try to get them again. It's just difficult that time of year. And so I did get some queens out of Hawaii last year. I got some both in the spring, and I got some again in the summer. And actually, the ones I got in the summer from Hawaii, I treated them differently. I treated them better than the Michael Palmer queens, and they ended up being accepted and they're doing really well for me. So I learned my lesson with those queens. I don't want to order any more from him until I get my ducks in a row a little better, because I don't want to have that result. I'm not at all. I think it was 100% my fault the way I did it. It's not. It was just it was a learning lesson for me. The pushing cages just didn't work well. It was hard for me because it seemed like I pushed the cages in, and then a lot of them, the bees kind of worked under the edges somehow, and the queens weren't even in the cages anymore. They were already released when I got there. So I did all kinds of things wrong with that. That was an example of what not to do. The biggest thing was I tried to split them all so hard that day. I went out on a Friday and I got overheated. I got about 4. This is when the queens were going to be coming the next day. I got about 4 colonies done, split, and I got overheated. It was really hot that day. It was like, Joey, you can, and probably, do you have any of you other guys live in the South? I know JW, you have a place over here across the line in Georgia, but do any of you other guys live in the South?
Missouri here, central Missouri.
So yeah, and you and Tom too. Tom, you're in Missouri, right? So
That's right. St. Louis.
You guys get heat and humidity up there as well, so you understand the humidity. I know, but
absolutely.
It's just so miserable. So I got in trouble that day. I didn't get up until about 11 o'clock in the morning. It was hot, humid, like 95 degrees, and I had to get in my truck and go home. So the queens came the next day, and I get the rest of the splits all done the next day. So, and it was kind of cloudy, so the weather was good. I put in like an 11 or 12-hour day that day, trying to get them all split, get all the queens in there. It was a nightmare. It didn't work out well, not at all like I planned. But with this beekeeping thing, it's lessons learned. You have to just take those losses and turn them into victories in the future. That's what I'm trying to do. And it worked out well the way I did it last year with the queens I got in July. I think it was even August when I got those queens from Zach in Hawaii. And some of those queens are the ones I showed in that video a few weeks back, where they're just looking good. Some of those queens I went in, I think were some of those summer queens from last summer. They just have exploded. I fed them. I was real careful. I just introduced them in their cages. They came in. I didn't try to use the pushing cages. I did everything that's always worked for me in the past with them, and they're doing really well. So I didn't mean to hog the whole conversation. I just wanted to come on for a little while and just see what was going on with you guys.
Bruce, you see Paul's
Hey, you're
question?
good, man.
Oh, I missed small high beetle talk at Nobby. Oh, what's the new cure? Basically I can't think of the name. I have to pull it up, but it's a long name, but the active ingredient of Grubex. They've been doing a lot of studies with that at the University of Georgia. It's not just straight up Grubex though. What they're doing is they're testing it. They're mixing it with the pollen patties, pollen sub. And what they're finding is that it's not just straight up grub. You can't take Grubex granules and mix it with pollen patties and expect to have success. It's the active ingredient. You have to get in a concentrated amount, and I don't even know what that is. But they found that is it's actually deadly to the larvae. Like the patties won't have any larvae in them, but the bees eat it, and I think it doesn't even affect the bees at all. They eat it. They seem healthy, no problems at all. But it absolutely annihilates the hive beetles. The hive beetle, what happens is the adult hive beetles will lay the eggs in the pollen patties, pollen sub patties, and then the larvae will emerge, and they'll just start eating that pollen. I guess those pollen patties, they're perfect for hive beetle larvae. I've experienced that when I've tried to use it in the past. Like within 3 or 4 days, you get little squirmy maggots in there. And but apparently when they use that at whatever the right percentage is, apparently it just, they can't survive. The larvae can't survive, and so it kills them. But they don't find any in it when they have that mixed into it. And I don't know what the mixture is. I'm not sure how to do it. But he was just talking about his studies, and I think that if you emailed him, I can't remember what his name was. You could look it up on the website or whatever, but he might give you some guidance as to how to actually, where to get the product to mix in and how to do it. But I don't think he'll give you exact dose. He can't probably legally do the exact thing, but he can give you guidance on how to do it. And so that's a thought. I also, speaking of hive beetles and pollen patties, Strong Microbials has a new pollen patty that is based off of, I guess it's got like the seaweed and stuff in it. And according to John Turpin, they have not had issues with hive beetles in those pollen patties. And so I bought a 10-pound box of that. I'm going to try it and see if it's effective. If I see hive beetle larvae in it, I'll have to say, John, and down here, I'm sure Joy, you would agree. If you put pollen sub in a hive, there's going to be hive beetle larvae in it. Yeah. So if I put that in my hives, if I put it in a few hives, and if there are not any larvae in it, then it may be a good thing to do. I'm going to try it out and see and put it to the test here. I can't remember what it's called. It's in a little 10-pound cubie. I kind of cut it off and stick it in the hive, and it's just a Strong Microbials thing. And the Strong Microbials makes that probiotics. There's mixed reviews on whether they work or not, but I put them on there or not. So
it must have something in it the beetles don't like.
I guess. I don't know if it's the seaweed mixture in there or what is. I think it's green, so I'm not sure what causes it, but I'm gonna try it and see.
I just need a hive tool up here. I see about 3 a year.
Yeah, yeah. Man, if I see 3, I think, man, it's good. We all good if I got 3. Even if I got 15 or 20, I don't worry too much about it. But if you open the lid and they just scurry everywhere, then you may be looking at a problem. It's time to investigate a little further. Mm-hmm. Y'all have them in Missouri. How are they in Missouri? You guys have a big problem with hive beetles up in Missouri?
I wouldn't say it's a big problem, but they can.
They're there. I feel like I don't do anything to tempt them, because I know better. I would never walk around and put more than a pound of pollen patty on a hive. And if I did put pollen on a hive, it would be one time, and that's early spring for a little early brood up before the maples. But aside from that, yeah, we don't tempt fate. But they're there, and keeping strong, healthy hives usually just curtails anything. But
that's right.
They're always, especially on queen mating nukes. I mean, they're just, seems like a certain time of year, maybe late June, early July, right when the heat and humidity sets in. It seems kind of like the yellow jackets. Like there's a switch that goes on. One day they're not really around. The next day you just start seeing them.
Well, JW, you probably agree down here. It's a perfect storm. We got honey, we got privet, we got the spring stuff coming in April and early May. Then it there's a little bit of a lull, like for about a week there. We usually I try to harvest the first harvest about Mother's Day, and then there's about a bit of lull of about a week or so. And that tallow hits, and it's like turning a water hose to a fire hose. They just pour the honey in. And then about the time you take that honey off, mid to late June is ideal, or even a little bit. Sometimes I can't get it off till early July. That's when the perfect storm happens. That's when the hive beetles seem to become more of an issue. Then all the way through, would you agree, Joe, all the way through August, when it's a hot and humid part of the year, and that's when it's just brutal. And then that's just when my colonies begin to crash if I'm not careful. They may begin to crash a little bit with the honey supers on, but I don't know it until I pull the honey supers off. But when I start investigating those colonies, it's the worst time of the year to be in bees, but it's the most miserable time for the beekeeper and the bees. But it's critical that you get on them and you try to treat for mites and just try to get everything under control, make sure they're okay, because they'll start to crash on you then if you're not careful. By the time that honey comes off.
Does the formic affect them at all? Formic Pro?
The beetles?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't know anything about beetles, so.
Yeah, I don't think it does necessarily.
And the oxalic acid doesn't irritate them?
Doesn't seem to. It's just it doesn't seem to. Now I think that it's possible thymol might have an effect on them. I'm not sure about that. Maybe a little bit. It might drive them out a little bit. I don't know, but they pretty much, the beetles are pretty much can withstand whatever the bees can withstand. It seems like to me.
Now, do you put the Grub X underneath the hives?
Now, Joey, I don't know if you've done that, Joey. I started trying that. We have a commercial beekeeper here in Alabama that just swears by that. So about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, he was talking about that. So last year, the first year I heard about it, which was 2023, I tried it starting in the summertime and didn't see much of a result. Last year, I started in the early spring, probably February, March, and just every few weeks I'd spread it. And I don't think I had as much of a problem last year. But I don't know that that's 100%. I don't know if that's subjective or just kind of maybe it was the year.
I've never used it.
What do you think, Joey?
I've never used it, so I don't know.
Okay.
I know a few people that do and say
Yeah.
it works.
Well, the guy from Georgia kind of put a little bit of a snub on that. He said basically that what kills the grubs slash larvae of the hive beetles is when they consume whatever kill the poison or whatever kills them. He said when they go on the ground, they're not actually eating anything. So he doesn't believe the Grubex will work because the Grubex is designed for the grubs that eat the grass roots. And so when you apply it to the grubs in the ground, then they eat the grass roots and they consume the Grubex and it kills them. But so he basically, I think his point was you can try it, but he didn't think it would work. However, I do think I have fewer hive beetles overall last year. I did still have some for sure. So I think it maybe it helped, maybe it didn't. I've got 3 more bags down there my wife got when they were on clearance. So I'll go ahead and apply it again this year around the colony. It's not hard. I just pull out my little hand spreader thing and just spread around the hives real quick. It doesn't take but very long to do, and definitely can't hurt to put it out there,
That several people I know use it. What is it? I can't even say it. Promethium. Yeah.
What is it?
Promethium.
Permethrin.
On the ground? On the ground?
Yeah. They just
I
mix it in a 5-gallon bucket and just dose the ground under them.
I think Mike does that, doesn't he, Mike Berry, if they're bad?
Yeah.
I think he does that.
Lee
So that's
does
more
it.
that's
Friend
more
of
just
mine does it.
that's more just an
Your
insect.
bees, if you get it on them, I can tell you that, Joey. I've used it all the time with cattle.
Yeah.
What's that? What'd you say, J. David?
It's a fly killer. It'll kill your bees if you get it
Yeah.
on.
Well,
Be careful with it.
one guy I know that not too far from me, he'll do it right at dark and drench the ground with it. But I never have used that either. So
Yeah, I
Now,
don't
if you
know.
get it on there, you'd be all right, I suppose, but you don't want to get it on your bees because it's a contact killer for flies. So what it is.
Yeah. I mean, people say you don't want to put anything like that around your bees, but I'm like, well, the bees aren't usually on the ground. So, it's kind of like people, you're around farmers that spray. If the bees when they fly through it, that's when the problem seems to occur. So if they're spraying at night or in the evening or early morning hours before the bees are out or when they're in the hives, it doesn't seem like it'll be an issue. Yeah. It's interesting because a lot of people, and you guys may disagree with me on this, but I had for several years, I had several colonies right here in my backyard. I live in a 1/3 acre lot in a little suburb out here, a little community, little neighborhood here in Dothan, Alabama. And I've got a privacy fence behind my house where my bees were. Well, they would go within, the mosquito trucks would go within probably, 20, 30, maybe 30 feet of some of my colonies, and some of the closest ones were like 30, 40 feet away, and the rest of them were a little close, but they were all probably within 50, 60 feet of the road. And they would spray that stuff up in the air. And we have a horrible mosquito problem here in the summertime. And they would do it in the afternoon, like at 4 or 5 o'clock, or like by the time I got home from work, they were out there spraying for mosquitoes. And of course, your bees are flying home about then, right? So I would notice that there would be some bees, I think, that flew right through that stuff that it would kill. But I never had any issues with really big kill off, like because the bees that are in the hive, it doesn't seem to. So I think it's the ones that fly right through the mist. It's interesting though, because I noticed a couple of evenings I went out there and it was mostly drones laying on the ground right there. Didn't see many workers. It was mostly drones. So I thought that was interesting. But they started spraying at night, and I never had any issues with it at all when they would spray at night. So people get all upset and kind of up in arms about mosquito trucks going through their neighborhoods or near their bees. But that's the only issue I had was if they would spray right in the evening, the bees were flying in that direction right through the mist, I think was when there was a problem. Otherwise, never had a problem with it. I had some monster hives in my backyard that never were affected by that stuff at all that I could tell. So
Yeah, and that
Hey,
mosquito.
Bruce, I wonder if the time that you had noticed a bunch of the dead drones in the ground, if that would have been about the time that the drones would have been coming back from mating flights, because I think there's usually pretty good correlation of times when the drones go out in the afternoon and when they come back.
I think you're right on that, Tom. I really do. I think that's exactly what happened. Then they're all coming home and flew right through it. You know, wherever that congregation area was, I think they probably flew right through it. It was pretty late in the evening, though. You see them bouncing around on the ground, but it's weird because very, very few worker bees that I ever see. Now, that's how I think a lot of insecticide sprays are, right? It's a contact thing, so they have to fly through it, or you know, that's what has to happen. So if you got bees by a cotton field and they're spraying for boll weevils, and the mist comes over onto your bees, or where they're out there flying through it, then that's a problem. But if that doesn't happen, if they're not working those particular flowers at that time or the blooms, then I don't think it's much of an issue. But that's just me. I've had bees right on cotton fields. I mean, within 20 feet of a cotton field, and had good success with them, just right there on the edge of the cotton field before. And so many people they blame farmers for all their problems, when I think so many times it's now I know Michael Palmer up there. I know he's pretty heavy on all the sprays and stuff from farmers. Am I right on that, Mike? I know he's really
well, they're
concerned about
finding
it.
a lot of problems because of it. But you have to see the area he's in.
Yeah.
You can't turn around without cornfields.
Yeah, we've got cotton and peanuts here. Yeah, we got fields everywhere here too, but I don't know. I know he actually he's much more of a scientist than I am. I know he actually has done research on it.
They've been doing pollen studies,
Yeah, exactly.
And they're finding a lot of stuff out up there.
Well, I know the truth is queens used to last 4 or 5 years, didn't they? Back in the day, in the heyday, 3 to 5 years they would. But nowadays, I mean, I think there are a few queens that may do that if you live but most queens, you want to try to replace them every year or two. Now it seems like, at least that's what I kind of try to do. I've just noticed younger queens do better. So it may be having an effect on some of that stuff. I don't know if it has an effect on the reproductive, longevity of the queens. I don't know. Or if it's just maybe our grafting, it has such a high clip. If that has a impact on, I'm not sure why that is.
I think it's more got to do with the drones.
It very well could. Definitely it could. If they're getting, there's just so many things that the nutrition they're getting from the pollen isn't as good. Maybe their actual reproductive abilities are not as good. Maybe the sperm that they've transferred to the queen is not as viable.
I don't think it's as viable as it used to be.
Maybe not as many successful. I don't know. It could be. I'm, if you ever watch me or listen to me, I'm pretty open to just about anything. As far as I'm really careful to blame anything on any problem on any one thing, but I'm also pretty open-minded to listening to different thoughts and ideas, and I kind of formulate my own opinion. So I if the proof is in the science, if he's done the science, which he has, I know he's been really working at that hard. He and Randy Oliver are just really, really big on the research into things. And so there could be something to that. Maybe what they're spraying the corn up there with is different than what they're spraying the cotton and the peanuts with down here as well. But it couldn't be good for the bees, but the bees are pretty tough. I mean,
they're even treating the seeds.
Yeah.
Which puts it right in the plant. So therefore it comes right through the pollen.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I know I've got some strong bees and they do well, but every year I lose a fair number of them. And then I just, in a sense, that it's going to sound bad for me to say this, but it's not always a bad thing to lose some bees, because if I kept them all alive, then I would have way more bees than I could handle. So, and it's equipment that'll kind of transfer over to next year. And
you'd have no drawn comb ever.
Yeah.
And drawn comb's king.
It sure is. And I'm getting to where I'm starting to, like, Greg's bringing me these boxes Friday. He's going to bring me a skid, a pallet of boxes, a pallet of frames. So I'm going to try to start replacing that comb a little more often as well. That's key too. I think you'd agree with that, wouldn't you guys?
Yeah.
I know you can comb will work. I've had comb in those hives for quite a few years, more than what people recommend, but I think it's a good idea to keep that wax fresh and clean. And I'm beginning to kind of be more of a believer in that. So I'm going to try to kind of figure out how to transfer it out and get the old stuff out and the new stuff in. it's just a process, because like you said, Mike, comb is gold. And so you don't want to.
Yeah, and everywhere is different. I mean, we're
Sure.
not in a high agricultural area, so our pesticide spraying is very limited.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Most
What is it in the, what is it
Bob Benny
actually in
has
the
a really
corn?
great talk, and he kind of highlights different.
What's that? Did we lose you?
I didn't say anything.
Well,
was
it's
Are you
that?
talking to
on
Mike or me?
Was that?
It was cutting out on you, Tom.
Yeah, start over. You're talking about Bob Benny,
Say,
Tom. What did he say?
hold on, say that again.
Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
Oh yeah, so Bob Benny actually has a really great talk on that. He talks about the comb and the different synergistic effects that happen in the comb and cycling comb out, things of that nature. But another thing he points out too is, everybody has this idea of different dates and years and how long you should keep comb. And the one thing that he highlights, and this is based upon his experience, which I think has a lot of value to it. He talks about it depends on the areas that you're in and what your bees are exposed to, So like Mike said, if he's not in a higher agricultural area where there may not be as heavy of a pesticide spray or herbicide spray in that area, whereas maybe you, Bruce, are in a really high agricultural area, it's more likely to say that your bees will come into more contact with things that when they go into the comb, and because those are fat lipids, that'll store in the comb itself like a liver. So at that point in time, when you can have different chemicals interacting with each other, now it can become very toxic in a way, whereas by itself it may not. So that's always a good talk that I've probably listened to a dozen times, and I think it has a lot of value there in that too.
Tom, can you shoot me the link to that video? I may have seen it, but I may want to watch it again. I can't remember, but if you could shoot me that link just through my email address on my YouTube channel, I'd appreciate it. Guys, I need to hop off pretty quick. I'm actually going to, I don't know if you guys saw it, but a few weeks ago, right before the conference, I just was home by myself. My wife was out of town, and I just hopped on and did a live by myself. I actually, the Black Mountain Honey guy over in, what's his name, Lawrence over in the
Lawrence,
UK.
yeah.
He does those, and I've watched a couple of them, and I'm like, man, that's pretty cool. I want to try to do that. Well, I'm not near as good as he is, but it was a lot of fun.
He can answer some questions, can he?
He sure. He answers every single question that comes through, every single comment. What happens on mine, and it happens to you guys too. I see here, there's so much discussion, which is what you want. What I want to see is that discussion. So many people saying, "Hey, how are you?" and so many things like that. When I got on and did that day, I think they were like 40 comments in, like in the first minute or like within the first 5 minutes. There's no way I could have recognized them all. Yeah. And then I was struggling to keep up with all the questions. And so I'm going to try and do that again, I think tomorrow, just see how it goes again. It was kind of, I had some people at the conference come up to me and just say, "Hey, we enjoyed that. Why don't you try and do it again?" So I thought I may try that again tomorrow, but I don't know if it's going to be a continuous thing or not. But anyway, I enjoy coming on tonight, guys. I see kind of how you guys get hooked into these things almost every night because it's intriguing stuff. And I appreciate y'all letting me come on and chat for a little while. I do enjoy it. I do. And yes, sir. You too, Mike. I do enjoy it. I just, it's just, I can't, my mind, when we're doing the stream team every Wednesday night, it's like my brain is just gone. It's shot for, it takes me a week to get back on the horse again. And we really enjoy those. Some nights, you guys know how it is though. Some nights you really kind of are worn out and you just may not really want to do it. But it just energizes you to get on here and talk to people. It's almost like an extension of the Bee Expo every time you hop on one of these things. And so
it's like Charlie's, he shuts it down at 10 and then we're still talking at 12.
Yeah, I know. I got you. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and sign off, guys. I appreciate y'all letting me check in. I may try to do this a little bit more, but we're about to be into the, as you guys know, it's sun up to sundown bee season. When it hits here in about a month, about the time maybe a week or so before I do those splits, and really a couple of weeks from now, 2 to 3 weeks from now, I'm usually off on Fridays and Saturdays. I work 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. And some days I'm in the hives from 8:00 in the morning till dark. In the summertime, that's 11, 12-hour days sometimes. You guys probably know how that is. So don't have as much time to hop on and do stuff, and it's harder to make videos. But right now, this time of the year, it's easier to hop on for a little bit of time. So,
Bruce, before you leave, if I may interject, if you
Yes,
don't
sir.
care to, put your farm address where you guys are going to get together at your folks' place in the private chat.
Okay. The problem is the address on Google doesn't work. It takes you somewhere that's not accurate. So I need to probably send you a pin. I'm not sure if I can I do that in the private chat? I'm not sure how to even do that.
No, I don't know about that. But
Let
anyway,
me, Joey, let me,
public. If it works out fine, if it don't, there's a good possibility I might possibly be down that way. So that's the reason
okay. Well, I can put my phone number in there for you guys.
I've got
and,
your number. I've got
You
your
got my number. Well, just text me if you're going to make it over and I can send you a pin. How's that sound?
Okay, that'd be great. Yeah, I'll work.
And all you guys are welcome if you want to come hang with us. I don't know the time yet. It'll probably be, I think, early to mid afternoon when Greg shows up here.
Well,
Is that
I'll
what
talk
he's?
to Greg to see what his plans are.
But it's going to be a good evening, a lot of fun, and just going to kind of be able to fellowship a little bit and just kind of get to catch up with some folks. But I'm going to hop off. Appreciate y'all, and thanks for letting me
Good
come
night,
on.
Bruce.
All right.
See you later.
Bye bye.
Yeah, JW, if you wanna land the helicopter in the same field you did last time, you can pick me up and we can buzz on down there.
You wouldn't fit in down there with them Johnny Red.
I bet I won't.
So they won't. They're hard to get. They're hard to get free food out of. I was going to take it a little further.
No way.
If you got off
If I'm going anywhere, I got to freeload at least something.
No, I've got to make a little trip out of the way, pick up some stuff. So I don't know. I might.
So, Tom, when is your conference?
The 8th,
February 8th.
Now, do you have one every year?
Yeah.
Yes.
I know I can't make it this year, but I was talking to my friend Gina that I would like to do either you or go up to Manitoba next year. Because we still have nothing to do. We don't have to worry about our bees.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, feel free to come on down. I mean,
March, even early April.
Well, our conference will be in February every year. We don't usually change it too much on the dates. It usually stays pretty close.
Second weekend.
Second weekend in February, Melissa says. Next year?
That's the weekend that's always been.
Or the first weekend, 7th and 8th.
Back to what Bruce was talking about, just real brief, that pollen sub and larvicide, I guess, that being put in that pollen sub. Something about that, just, I mean, because obviously bees are larvae too, and they'd be feeding, the nurse bees would be feeding, and that just, to me, I'm sure there's a science behind it and a fine line. It almost sounds like a little bit of a razor's edge to walk. It almost sounds like you're, lack of a better word for it, it almost sounds like it's a poison of some sort being put into that pollen sub to, it just seems like it would be, for me, in my operation, I would have to really see that go around for a couple of years before I would try to.
Yeah, I agree, Matt, on that part of it. Yeah.
There's a lot of
Bruce.
snake oil, and I'm not saying that's snake oil, but there's a lot of the newest best thing. Sometimes isn't the newest best thing at all. Beekeeping is definitely things of that nature going on. So I'm not saying it's not a good thing at all. I don't know if I'd be the first one to try it.
Well, I don't have a big hive beetle. If I see 10 or more, I figure I got an infestation on the hive beetles. I'm not like those boys I've had bees down there in Georgia, and I quit keeping a few bees. I never did have a big bunch, but I kept a few bees down there and not being there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Them hive beetles, we don't know what the problems is up here compared to what them guys in the south have. You just can't hardly use pollen patties down there of any time at all, or over 2 weeks at a time, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of scared to use them. I never have used them.
Yeah, them things they'll literally just take over and slime out.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen that one that Tim and Hannah Gunline Bees put out there last spring. Lord, these things were just like maggots. I mean, just that literally thousands of them in one hive box.
Mm-hmm.
And they made it into a slimy, slurry mess.
Yeah.
So I can tell you this: I've got them two little yards there, right there at my main farm, and I've got 16 hives in one of them, and I've got 18 hives in the other one. Hive boxes in there, and I've got everything on individual stands on rubber mats.
Mm-hmm.
And my one little yard, I use the Grub-X around it, around the mats, and I rarely see a hive beetle. Period. The other
Mm-hmm.
little yard, I don't use anything around, but I've got them hives in both places on rubber mats, and I'll see a few hive beaters around those. So that's all I can tell you from my own personal experience.
Yeah, I would notice a little bit more of a bump in seeing some in new hive stand locations, almost like there was a new beacon formed to investigate. And anytime before I set up a new hive stand, I would do that, the Grub-X on the ground, but I'd also go with water softener salt, or pool salt is what it was. Actually, Lowe's sells it in the bag, but it's basically like table salt. It's fine. It's not the pellets. But I would salt that ground so thick it was almost like the Dead Sea, and 30% vinegar just to use as a wood or a weed killer in that area. But I'm not sure if drenching the ground like that helped and take out a lot of that or not. Just one of those things, it's you do what we can and prepare for the worst but expect the best, or whatever that saying is.
I'm kind of a neat and trim type person. I mow around all my hives so I don't want to kill the grass. I've got grass. The mats will keep it out from under my I got mine's all individual hives. So
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, what my experience has been a little to that.
I buy
that
the
regard. Excuse me.
rolls that florists use out, like when they're putting plants out, the heavy mat.
Yeah.
I just roll that out, staple it to the ground, and put my hive stands on it. Don't have to weed whack around them anymore. It's kind of like you putting down the mats.
Mm-hmm.
It works
I've
well.
got a bunch of old cattle panel mats. They're actually half-inch thick, heavy as heck.
Yep.
And I put them underneath there. I've got them left over that I had in a lot of my stalls for the show cattle.
But what I've noticed having that down there, JW, is when you have a diode of bees, it's easy to see because they're
No, very much
not
so.
in the grass. You can tell when you.
You can see the dead ones good on the snow right now too. We got enough snow.
Oh yeah, I see them every year though.
But you're right about that.
When you get some into some pesticides or something, all of a sudden you look and you got dead bees everywhere.
Yep.
You wouldn't normally see them if you had lawn.
Yeah. And I'm right in the middle of corn and soybean country too, Mike, down here, just like he's talking about, Mike. Palmer's. I got cornfields, I know, 100% all the way around me. Tom can tell you that, but my tenant farmers and stuff on my property, they're pretty good about letting the old man know when they're going to spray or something. And a lot of them spray real late of an evening, after the bees are in, because they're pretty considerate. And I do partake in that drift watch. I don't know that these big commercial sprayers don't do much. They don't pay much attention to it. But if I see them go by, I say, "Hey boys, I've got bees out here. What the hell are you spraying?"
I saw Ian Stepler one time. They had some type of bug in Eaton, and he asked his brother to stay wide with the sprayer.
Yeah.
And he did.
Yeah.
And the plants that didn't get sprayed were just this tall, wily, nothing left to them. And where that sprayer had hit, they were beautiful plants. It's just amazing how bad those bugs ruined his crops. And he said if they hadn't sprayed, the whole field would have looked like that.
Yeah, farming's got to be tough. I mean, beekeeping's tough. Farming, man, a lot of weight stacked up against it. We're talking about hive beetles and mites. Farmers probably have however many more pests than we do to have to deal with, and constantly. I guess we're always constantly changing stuff too, but it doesn't seem like an easy occupation,
Now, I've been watching a lot of that drill planting and regenerative farming. That's
Mhm.
pretty interesting, but I don't know how you do it on a scale like Ian does.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not.
Especially with they have a limited growing season also.
Everything's so.
Everything they do is fast and compact.
Yeah, that's an amazing way to operate up there. But yeah, we're kind of blessed where we're at. The Sandy Valley area is kind of an agricultural zone, but it's not a monocrop. There's probably more hay fields and clover than there is soybeans. Very little corn, but some of the farmers will rotate between soybean and corn. But aside from that, a lot of alfalfa and really just hay fields, a lot of hay going on around us. So hopefully this spring.
John, in response to John's question, pardon my interruption there, Matt. I didn't mean to cut you off. It depends on the variety of the beans. Some of the beans will work. Soybeans will have purple flowers and white flowers. Depends on what variety of soybeans you got. The bees will work the whites and they won't work the purple. So that's all I can tell you in my area or my experience with the soybeans out here. They will work them if it's the right variety. But
they definitely work them by our area for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've walked through. There's a soybean field this past year about 50 yards from one of our hive locations, and they were definitely on them. It wasn't quite like the clover, but if you're standing there for long enough, you would see one buzz in and take care of business.
Matt, how big do you plan on getting this year?
Somewhere maybe 125, somewhere like that. Took 70 in the winter this year. But we started last spring with 4, so hopefully I won't have that much of a problem. I think the hardest part really isn't growing; it's knowing when to stop and knowing when enough is enough. Still have a fair amount of equipment that I have to accumulate this year to get to that, but realistically, somewhere in the 100, 125 range is probably where I'll end up. I just love growing bees, to be honest, and making queens and just getting them started out. So I really need to find an outlet to sell some hives off, because pretty soon I'll start looking like Joe Mays, little bits of honeybees out there. Hives everywhere stacked. So somewhere right around that number. You have a little bit more than that, don't you, Mike? 150 or so?
Probably 140, and I don't know how, but half of mine are nukes.
Yep. Yeah, and a good percentage of mine went into winter on the small single or smaller.
My biggest thing is I really can't even start making queens till middle of May.
Mm-hmm.
And by then they're already, you got to do something with them.
Yeah, our red maples are, it looks like they're weeks away, I mean, they're swollen, they're not opened at all, but we're getting some temperatures up into the 50s here in this next week, 10 days. And we keep getting much more of that. They're going to start opening up. And then hopefully the weather stays where it should be, it doesn't dip way back down. Get them brooding up, and then getting a freeze, it wouldn't be good, but.
I didn't give you a full rundown on my forage little deal, Matt. my earliest I've ever had them, the red maples, is February the 7th. You know, the last 11 years. And I told you my average turned out to be around the 24th or 25th of February.
Right.
And my latest was March the 10th, 1 year. I won't tell you what year it is now without having my books here, but I keep track of all that. So from February the 7th to March 10, depending on the year, but usually around the last year it was the 24th, and then the year prior to that it was 24th or 25th when I had my first, fully bloomed out red maples, what I'd call it, when they was, they just look red from all the little flowers.
Yep.
And
You
usually I've
got
got
20 inches of snow in the last week of April.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, we did our first splits April 1st last year. I remember it being April Fool's Day or whatever. So, but we did get last year right around that first week of April. We got a little bit of a cold snap. I remember being worried about. It would get, I think, into the 30s maybe at night, and maybe the 40s, something like that. I remember being like, oof, probably a little too early, but
Well, y'all keep the snow, and I'll deal with the hive beetles.
there you go.
I remember one year it was April 15th. We were up at my camp at the Canadian border, and we were snowmobiling. And there was a moose in the middle of the trail, and it just would not move. And I wanted to go try to slap it in the butt on the way by, but nobody had a camera, and I wasn't willing to get hurt without one.
Yeah.
And that moose, when that moose finally went off the trail, we figured out why. It was 4
that
feet
sounds
deep.
like a good reason not to do it.
It used to be a little bit wild, Joey.
Hey.
I'm not going to say the exact year, Mike, but I come up here from Florida for Thanksgiving, and I had a couple of snowmobiles up here, and it was enough snow on the ground on Thanksgiving Day up here that I snowmobiled, which is a rarity for this area, but I snowmobiled up to the neighbor's place, and that was I'm going to think maybe 85, 86, maybe. But we get some snow on occasion here, but it usually don't stay on very long. It's about as long as we've had snow for a good while.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I think it was 10 years ago. I was building a house. I think we had total accumulation of over 10 feet that year.
Yeah.
And started out in October. I just got the deck laid, and we got 14 inches of snow. I was like, you got to be kidding me. And it went that way the whole winter. We were just taking the snowblower, ratchet strapping the mechanism, and shoveling it into it and blowing it away because all the peaks of the roof were dumping. We got steep peaks.
Yeah.
We go shovel for 2 days, work for 2 days, shovel for 2 days.
There you go, Joey. That's my kind of living. Don't you like when you like to do that? Huh?
I keep my hive beetles.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be able to run my snow machine down there.
Now I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna hurt a bunch of feelings guys on here. When I lived down there, they always call me Yankee, because when I lived down there in Florida, and I said, I guess you know why the South lost the war, don't you? And most of them would say no. It made some of them mad because you know how I am. I didn't mean anything by it. I said, well, half of y'all was too lazy to fight, and the other half slept through it. You're African far now. Don't shoot me, boys.
Makes friends everywhere he goes,
Hey, Joey, can you ban this guy from the group?
Sure.
If he does, I'll follow you,
Put him in time
JW.
out for a little while.
Put me in timeout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that would be
That's
possible.
one of the good points about being old. People overlook you, think you're old and senile, which I'm
Yeah.
probably right.
He's not senile.
Yeah, he's telling stories of when he was younger.
Yeah.
He
Now
puts
that
on
he's
a
seen
good
that.
show,
Yeah.
though, don't he, Tom?
Say that again.
He puts on a good show, though, don't he?
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, he does. Listen, folks, he's going to try to play this off as old and dumb. Okay, he might be old, but he's not dumb. Okay, trust me. Yeah.
Mhm.
Don't fall
I'm
for
not
that.
too. I'm not too smart. I would be hanging
He's
around
very
this
much
bunch.
with it.
Good point, JW.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I got you. That's right.
I'll let you know how your fondant
good
does
one,
in
DC.
about another month when I can pick a hive up and stuff some under it.
Nice.
Now, could I warm it up a little bit and roll it a little thinner?
I wouldn't warm it up. I just leave it out at room temperature.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, just get room temperature, and you got
because it's pliable.
You got a big block of it, one of those 8-pound blocks.
It's an inch and a half thick. It's good stuff.
Okay. So
But,
I would take that inch and a half thick block, and no matter how big it is, and I just cut it to whatever you feel like would be a good portion for a Ziploc bag. Like a freezer quart Ziploc is a little bigger than the regular Ziploc.
Well, I'm gonna probably put it on nukes.
Okay.
So they're only 4 frames, so it's not very wide.
Yeah.
So I was thinking I would just I have a big rolling pin that I would just lay it out and roll it, cut it into strips and then roll it thin.
You can. I would almost, if you're going to put it, I guess you could do it like in a little parchment paper envelope, almost like what crab rangoon come in, something like that, maybe.
Just use parchment paper.
Yeah, or parchment paper. Yep, but you could roll
that's
it
all
out.
That's all I do with my pollen patties too.
Okay.
When and if I use them.
Very similar. So that fondant that's like a super hydrolyzed deal there. I mean, it's almost like a soft sugar brick. So if you put enough pressure on it, it'll turn from that soft sugar brick almost like mashed potatoes. So on those, the ones I put on our hives, I'll cut them into I don't know, I'm doing it with my hands, but a block that would fit into a Ziploc bag, and I'll actually put them on the floor and stand on them for just a second, and my weight will just the weight of my body will literally turn that into a real soft consistency. So
Christ, the weight of my body will make them a crepe.
No,
you probably just want to mash. You probably just want to mash it down a little bit, Mike.
Yeah, you'll see. Portion it up. You can manipulate. you can manipulate it. Is what I was going for.
Yeah.
But I've also, just in testing it out, I've done it every way from Sunday now. But I put them in just like that. They'll consume it as well, just like the brick form, like a soft sugar brick, but a fondant.
Hey girls, the crepes are ready.
Mike, can I put in a request, please? I want some hickory syrup with mine, okay?
Mm-hmm. I guess so. I got hickory trees.
Hey, that's a stab at this guy over here, okay? This fellow over here.
Did I hear someone say
honey?
Was someone saying hickory before?
I don't know.
I
know I don't know how the blossoms worked with that. They do blossom. I've seen them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the bees do anything with them.
What,
never
hickory?
Hickory trees, yeah. We have a bunch of hickory.
Well, good luck on tapping them is all I can tell you.
Yeah, no, that's
And getting a usable amount of sap out of them to cook down for hickory syrup.
Do some birch trees and get some birch syrup.
Yeah. I would go, birch aren't a hardwood either. They're a softwood, and the maple. Any of those hardwoods is tough to get, sap out of when you get to talk about 40 gallon to make 1 gallon,
Birch is even worse. I think it's closer to 60 or 80.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I bet you a birch tree would bleed a lot more than a maple would.
Well, all of them be
It has a
depends
lot
on the
sugar
of
content.
the syrup. Yeah.
The maples in each maple is different, you know, between the rock maples, the swamp maples,
Yeah.
and the sugar maples. You know, a sugar maple, you might get 36 gallons to make a gallon, and one of the other ones you may be at 48.
Mm.
You know,
Hmm.
it's a lot of steam in the air.
The sugar concentration is a little different between the two.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's also got to do with the preseason and you know the fall and everything else, and whether or not the temperatures rise and fall the right amount, because they won't run at all if it's not right temperatures.
Oh, DC, I agree with you 100%. You can tap any tree, but getting enough sap flow out of it to make it, you know, to make a syrup out of it be a long drawn out affair, I think. Especially on any hardwood, you know, it'd be like tapping a white oak or a water oak. Or you tap that, the water would all go near run out of it, you know. But it wouldn't be. I wouldn't think it'd be fit to eat. I wouldn't never try it.
Probably not.
I've been ragging Tom over his hickory syrup. That's where this conversation is
Oh, okay.
from.
I told
He's
him I
talking
have a bottle. I told him I have a bottle of hickory syrup at home, and he said, "No, you don't." I'm like, "Just telling you what's in my cabinet. I got it
I
from."
didn't say no, you don't. I just was laughing.
Yeah. So he was just poking. That was all. So that's why I was kind of throwing it back at him.
Oh, I got you.
That was our conversation at about 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, he was bored.
Coming back from down
What are
there.
you guys talking about? You gotta soak the bark or strip the bark and
Yep.
Well,
Yeah,
y'all,
that's another way.
we've been going 3 hours.
1 minute and 9 seconds.
Yeah.
To be exact.
Anybody wants to get in on that after chat, they better jump in here because we fixing to shut her down. I appreciate everybody coming in, everybody in the chat, everybody in the studio. And I know Bruce is already gone, but I want to tell him thank you again for the super chat. And we'll see y'all next week or tomorrow night, one or the other. Big Mike, I always